Oh, God, I love that song. That is Cage the Elephant and Mess Around. I heard it for the first time last night. And I said, you know what, why don't we start our show with that song, Cage the Elephant, Mess Around. I heard it on Dave Frick's show. He's the Rolling Stone guy. If you've ever been to a show in New York City, you've seen this guy. He kind of looks like a Ramon almost. And I didn't even know he had a radio show on Sirius XM, but he has this show on the Spectrum, and I was listening as I was driving home last night, and he played it, and I liked it a lot. Cage the Elephant, Mess Around. So I love that Spectrum. I'm obsessed with the damn Spectrum. Do you listen to the Spectrum on Sirius XM?
I do not.
Anybody?
No.
No?
I do.
With Christine Stone, one of the best voices in radio history. Yeah. Certainly probably the best female voice. And then you got Mark Goodman over there.
Yeah.
He does a pretty good job.
Yep.
And then I heard Dave Frick last night. I think he does like a once-a-week type specialty show. I think it's called Writer's Block or something like that. So there you have it. What's up, Jimmy?
I'm okay. I'm a little sleepy.
I am really tired.
Sometimes I'm tuckered out.
I'm very tuckered out because my little body can't handle a cup of coffee after noon. What's wrong? I mean,
You're very sensitive.
You're so angry.
Because it's frustrating.
You're just sensitive. That's all it is.
My addiction is coffee, and I could drink it all day, and I've knocked it way, way down, so I'll just have coffee in the morning. But as I go through my day, and I have two small kids, like I see all those coffee shops, and a lot of new coffee shops are popping up in New York City there, which I'm so happy about, because Starbucks sucks. Their coffee stinks. Because they're more about the sugary drinks, the sugary coffee drinks and all. So I know their bean isn't as good as it used to be.
Right.
So now you're finally getting these smaller coffee shops popping up everywhere because they know there are people out there that actually really still appreciate a very good cup of coffee.
Right.
And I pass these places all day long. And yesterday I had the urge and I just went in around 3 and had a cup of coffee. And the next thing you know, it's midnight, 1 in the morning, and I'm just wide awake staring out my window.
Maybe you just have a nice view.
I do have a lovely view. Thank you, Jimmy. But God, over a cup of coffee? What's wrong with my dumb little body?
Yeah, my addiction is just being good and helping people. Yeah. My addiction is just smiling, seeing a smile on someone's face after I do something kind for them.
Does it keep you up at night?
Yes, it does. Sometimes I think of I'm like Oscar Schindler at the end. I could have helped just one more person. I think of all the smiles that I could have given.
Well, that addiction has been cured for a while.
It certainly has. Addiction has really been put on hold for
boy has it.
Since 2006.
But I'm here. I'm punchy. I like being punchy, though, when I do radio, so I'll be fine. But
so like last night,
yeah,
I got kids and everything at home, and you know what it is.
That's my addiction.
If I could just have one more. So, it's always tough to get them to bed and everything, and they're all wired from the day and homework and stuff.
Yep.
So all of a sudden we lost power. There's no storm or anything. We lost power because I guess a tree fell down somewhere, and there was no power until like 12:30 at night.
Did you lose the power of love, or just what kind of power?
Dude, we lost the power of love a long time ago.
Did you really?
No.
Everything's
fine.
Oh, everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
That's what you don't want to. You don't want to hear that after a bunch of years of being married. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. But I don't understand.
You want better than fine.
He comes in his fucking pajama bottoms. He's all ready to get laid, and she's like, "I'm tired again."
Oh, but honey, but
I'm dressed as Iron Man today.
Yeah, that might be a problem. Walking around like you're still 12 years old in your own house.
It's in
giant costumes.
It's part of my midlife crisis. But the Evil Knievel suit
is not getting you laid.
No.
Yeah,
but
how old are you, Justin?
46.
Okay.
Jeez, you look way old.
Hopefully your midlife crisis happened when you were 23.
Oh my God, that's so quick.
I had to ask the age, though.
It's really good.
He did the math perfectly.
Yeah, perfectly.
Perfectly on that.
But I honestly don't understand in this day and age why they keep putting the wires back up on the poles, because
it's obvious it would cost way too much money to get all the wires underground.
But then you lose power like 5 times
all new construction
a year.
they do that finally.
Yeah.
but they'd rather cut those trees where they look ridiculous.
Right.
Because they carve out the whole middle of the tree so the wires could go, still have room to breathe in general. But those trees look like they're going to fall down at any second.
And when you see them just hanging over the wires, for a snowstorm or wind that's coming down, it's just it really pissed me off also,
But there's full-time guys that are constantly cutting down those trees, but there's just too many. There's just too many. They're doing the best they can with that crap. But you're right. In this day and age, you should not lose power because it's windy out.
In this day and age, you shouldn't need a wire to go into your house.
Right.
Like, that's ridiculous
that's
if you think about it.
Too. Well, I'd rather it be in the wires.
Yeah.
Free flowing through the air.
I don't know. Somehow I feel like it's slightly safer than just, as it's blasting whatever it's blasting into your brain.
Yeah, well, you've been recording from a giant radio tower for your entire life.
That's why when they talk about these cell phones causing cancer and stuff, I'm like, well, then there's no hope for radio guys.
Right.
And I came up in the business when they didn't have half this shit figured out. They just assumed it was safe. I'm hoping there's some safety in this nowadays.
Now, yeah.
Especially satellite radio? What the fuck? What is that?
Shit's getting beamed everywhere.
Our voice is being beamed into space before the people hear it.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What is going through these headphones?
Yeah, it's not good.
I don't think it's good.
No, it's certainly what's going through the microphones.
But that was my whole night last night, trying to get kids to sleep when the whole house is dark and they can't watch TV and they're spooked out from the dark.
Light a candle. Give them flashlights.
We did do some of that stuff, but then
that's lights.
Yeah, but that was but now, like when I was a kid, we'd lose power and shit like that. But now these kids, like in the city, you guys never do.
No.
Yeah, since when's the last time? 2003.
Even Superstorm Sandy, we didn't lose power.
I don't think we did.
In my building, but I got seasick though. I told that story.
We were all seasick.
Yeah, we were all walking around our house during Superstorm Sandy. I mean, people had way worse problems, obviously. But we were eating dinner, and all of a sudden I was getting nauseous and lightheaded, and I'm like, wow, I don't feel good. I got to lay down. And then my wife said the same thing, and then my kids. And then we had a bath drawn. We were about to give them a bath, and I went into the bathroom. I'm like, all right, I'll give the kids a bath before I lay down. And all of a sudden we see the water sloshing. That's how much the building was swaying.
Oh, is that why?
Wow.
So I got seasick, yeah. And these buildings are meant to move.
Right.
Or
else they would shatter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to move.
Well, where we live is a built-up area, too. It's a weird raised area.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think it's as solid. I think it's built on something that was built on the ground. I don't think it's solid ground. Yeah, it's above ground.
Yeah, no, when the buses go by, the whole road
shakes
like you're on a trampoline. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. Are we safe over here?
Yeah, is it safe?
Is it safe? So, whatever. But I saw the movie Truth last night. We got Dan Rather coming in today. Who else saw Truth? You saw it, Jimmy?
I did, yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Very, very good movie.
That Cate Blanchett, I'm not saying anything crazy here. She is a ridiculous actress.
Yeah, she's great.
The type of movie she makes, I never really see in general, but every once in a while, I come across her in her acting. Oh, my God. She's ridiculous how good she is.
Robert Redford was great.
Robert Redford played Dan Rather, and we've talked about this on the show. I didn't feel like I was... Usually when a big star like someone that's so recognizable like Redford plays somebody, you always are looking at the movie just thinking, oh my God, I'm looking at Redford.
Right.
Sorry. But in this case, I didn't think that at all. Right. I thought I was looking at Dan Rather, even though he doesn't look like Dan Rather. But he had the voice down and the mannerisms.
Yeah, he did a great job. And that's a tough, because he's such a recognizable guy. Both of them are.
Right.
And I didn't know what this was. I was like, is this a documentary? And then as soon as, the names came out, I'm like, oh. And I loved it.
Yeah. Dan Rather has nothing to do with this movie. But Redford plays him in the movie. So Rather's kind of promoting it, even though he really has nothing.
He's promoting it because this is my guess, that whole thing that he got fired over, I think that he wants what he sees as the record set straight.
Right.
And I was online just watching Dan Rather interviews last time. Really, really interesting.
Well, he's gonna have a problem when he comes in here, because I thought his reporting was very lazy and that he should have checked his facts better.
Wow, jeez.
I do think they screwed up, though. I do think
we just heard Dan Rather canceled.
He's got some explaining to do when he comes into this studio.
I'm going to send Kenny my questions and have him print them out.
Ooh.
Wow, you wrote questions? How many questions?
Hold on.
as you find your questions, just for the people out there, Truth is based on the 2005 Mary Mapes memoir, Truth and Duty, The Press, the President, and the Privilege of Power. The film focuses on the Killian documents controversy involving a news report about President Bush's Vietnam-era service in the National Guard and the last days of Dan Rather and producer Mary Mapes at CBS News. The issue presented to viewers of the film is whether the so-called truth of a story matters more than faults in trying to nail it down. It stars Kate Blanchett as Mapes and Robert Redford as Dan Rather. So,
and Topher Grace was in this. He was really good.
Yeah. And the Quaid guy there, Dennis
Quaid was great.
He was very good. Yeah, the acting was superb. And Stacy Keach.
Stacy Keach is awesome.
Stacy Keach is such a damn good actor. I know I'm not breaking any ground with that statement, obviously, but he plays a very old, sick. What was he like?
He was the guy. He was an information giver. Let's just say a source. And he plays like an old guy who's. He sounds like he's dying of emphysema or cancer or something.
And he's so good at it. I'm thinking that they just found an old actor that is actually dying, and and he's doing this role for them.
Oh, really?
That's how good his acting is.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Stacy Keach rules. I hope he comes in to promote this film. That would be great to see him again. But the film was good.
And it's very interesting also that the people who got in trouble for this story were also the ones that broke the Abu Ghraib story for CBS.
Right.
So they were legitimate news people.
Right, which is one of their finer moments over there at CBS News. And it was the same people. It was Mary Mapes. She won a Peabody for that whole thing that I think she had to collect after the fact, after she got fired. And she never worked in news again. To this day, she hasn't been back.
Yeah.
And basically, they got documents proving that, some favors were done for President Bush, but then they couldn't really prove the accuracy of the documents. And some said that it was actually done on Microsoft Word, right?
Yeah. And
these documents were supposed to come from 1973, I think. I'm doing this from memory at this point.
73 or 74.
And then, some blogs and stuff got a hold of these documents that CBS aired. And they went to town like, whoa, man, this was done on a Microsoft Word. You should have explored this further.
As soon as he sits down, I have some hard-hitting questions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dan, tell us what happened.
What's the frequency, Dan?
What do you think, Dan? In hindsight's 20/20, as they say. Give us your take.
But they were basically saying these documents, if they were done on like typewriters, I guess, from 1973, it didn't match up.
Yeah. Right. Because they were referencing, I think they said something weird, like they said something about 9/11, and like there's no way they would have known that in 1973. There's like little mistakes that were made in the document that they're not sure of, that they think, we should have caught that.
The emojis.
Yeah.
Emoji.
Yeah. Dear Mr. President, like, wait a minute, he was only a lieutenant then. Dan, do you think mistakes were made? How would you do it in hindsight? Go, Dan, it's on you.
And go.
Go, Dan, comment. What a great history he has, a broadcaster, though. Very interesting.
And I believe they
call him on all of it.
And I think to this day, Dan Rather, believes the story itself, but there's still a problem with those actual documents. So and everyone got fired.
Yeah,
and the Weasley lawyers are represented nicely in this film.
Yeah,
lawyers that we had to deal with over the years.
Yeah.
Those scenes were making me angry when we used to have to sit down from time to time with lawyers.
Well, they weren't the CBS lawyers, or the firm they hired was the Seattle firm.
True.
But you know what? Even though they were hateable lawyers, when you watch this, it seems like, okay, this makes Rather look good, but I wasn't convinced either way. I think those lawyers, I thought, asked real questions, and I don't know, man. I wasn't convinced either way. I didn't hate those lawyers as much as I thought I would.
But did they ever figure out where these documents came from?
I don't think so, no.
I didn't think so either. And the little research I did after watching the movie, there's no real update on this story.
Yeah, I think they just don't know.
So you mean Wikipedia didn't list anything? Is that what you're saying?
That's pretty much it. You're right. Yeah. Well, it was late when the movie was over, and then I had 2 more hours of staring out the window because of my dumb cup of coffee at
maybe that's
3
why
in the
you
afternoon.
Couldn't sleep, because you watched the movie too late and you were just a thinking boy.
I was just thinking.
You're probably rattling off questions in your own head.
Yay!
Dan, is the president nice?
And then the famous "What's the frequency?" Kenneth story. that a lot of people didn't believe for a long time, and then I guess it was proven in 1997. Back in 1986, Dan Rather was he at an ATM? I don't remember. But
no, he was starring in one.
He was on Park Avenue. I know that much. And in 1986, and some guy came up to him and just started beating the crap out of him. And as he's beating up Dan Rather, he just kept saying over and over again, "What's the frequency, Kenneth?" And then that led to the big REM song of the same title, right. Same name or whatever. And the story was so weird and fishy that no one really believed it for a really long time. And then in 1997, 11 years later, it was proven to be a true story that Dan Rather got beat up, and the guy absolutely said, "What's the frequency, Kenneth?" over and over again.
How is it proven?
As he was being many doubted the story until it was proven in 97. Dan sang the song with REM during a sound check at Madison Square Garden. The footage was shown the next day on The Late Show with David Letterman. Were you guys there for that?
97? Yeah, we were there.
All right.
Yeah,
I guess they found the guy.
Why'd he beat up Dan Rather?
I think it was a mistaken identity.
Yeah, it was like a crazy.
Or maybe he was just a crazy person.
Oh, no.
It was two guys, too.
Was it
really?
two guys?
Here's two guys that like to beat up an old newsman.
Well, it was just one guy screaming, "Kenneth, what's the frequency?" And then some other guy that was also beating him up. And I think like years later, this guy gets arrested, and I think he murdered someone like right around the same area.
Jesus.
So they showed the picture to Dan Rather, and he's like, "Yeah, that's the guy."
That's the guy.
And I think the guy admitted to it.
What did he say? Why he beat him up? He thought he was someone else?
He wanted to know the frequency.
No, it's a fair question. It's nothing. when you want the frequency and some guy at fucking Getting Cash won't give it to you, it's so frustrating.
What else are you supposed to do?
You got to beat it out of him.
If some guy's beat me up and asking me what's the, I would just be saying, "It's 7.9.
Yeah, you're just firing out. No, it's not safe. It's very dangerous. When you don't know the fucking answer, how horrifying. So safe you wouldn't believe it. He's just trying to give the right answer, and he's fucking bombing both ways.
102.7, 95.5.
Wow, that's the guy who killed an NBC stagehand outside the Today Show. It's the same guy.
Same guy.
Oh, wow. So frequency had something. Maybe he did know it was Dan Rather then. Maybe that was something to do with the frequency of...
Wait.
But then why call him Kenneth?
Maybe was the guy's name Kenneth who was beating him up? Was he repeating something that had been said to him?
Wait.
You're asking the hard-hitting questions, Jim.
Write that down.
So this guy, listen to this. All right. So in 97, a TV critic writing in the New York Daily News solved the mystery and published a photo of the alleged assailant, William Tagger.
Oh.
Rather confirmed the story. There's no doubt in my mind that is the person. New York District Attorney Robert Morgenthau said William Tagger's identity as the man who attacked Mr. Rather was established in the course of an investigation by my office. Tagger received a 12.5 to 25-year prison sentence for killing NBC stagehand Campbell Montgomery outside the Today Show studio in 94. This is where it gets fucked up. He was paroled in October 2010 and is believed to be living in New York City.
So I wonder if he was fired from a job or something, or some kind of a telecommunications job, and who knows?
He did 16 years for killing somebody, and now he's living possibly in New York City. So, wow. There you have it.
Is that a real picture of Dan Rather beaten up or no?
I doubt it. I don't think he was. Yeah, he wouldn't have went on the news like that.
Yeah, but if he murdered that guy in 94, this happened in the 80s. So I'm pretty sure that establishes a crazy streak.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm surprised they paroled him in 2010, man. Seems like he was a bad, bad man.
Well, they said Tom Brokaw went to bat for him. Apparently, he's anti-Dan Rather back right after this.
So we're going to talk to Dan Rather today. He was at Dealey Plaza, but he admits that he didn't hear the shot or anything. I think he was there right afterwards, as all hell was breaking loose.
Has Dan Rather ever been on the show before?
Oh, no.
No, he's wanted to, but we've always blocked him. Yeah. We had Peter Jennings, and then you know what happened with that. So. Yeah, no, he's...
We were too busy sticking things up cooters. We didn't have time for Dan Rather.
He fucking... He saw the... He tried to get the Zapruder tape. He was... I'll ask him about it when he's here. Dan,
Did he
tell
really?
us. Yes.
He really did?
Yeah, he was the representative sent by CBS, and they get outbid by Life by a lot of money.
Wow.
Someone asked him about it. Dan, you saw the Zapruder film before any other Americans. Tell us what was on your mind at that moment. Comment, Dan?
You can't lose that negotiation. What's wrong? What was wrong with CBS?
It was already sold. Is
that what happened?
They both, yeah, he'll tell. But they both got there, and apparently Life bid like 3 times what he was authorized
CBS
to
said
bid.
no way.
I don't think that he was authorized to bid that much, and I think they bid by triple what he was authorized to bid.
Wow.
And the guy who got there first was a fucking good Life reporter.
Right.
So he was one of those guys that he knew he was going to get what he wanted.
How much did it go for?
$150.
150,000?
Yeah, which is $63, a lot of money.
I wonder what that is in today's money.
Shit, 152?
$152,000.
Hold
Man,
fast.
wow.
Well, probably, I'm going to guess $2 million.
Wow, man, but they're CBS.
Well, Life was.
I know
as
Life
big,
was
you know?
huge. That was the time when magazines were massive, but still.
You know, magazine outbid a fucking
News
TV
organization.
station for a fucking video.
Video, right. That's what is crazy about that. 150,000.
I have a bunch of questions for Dan, all about that tape.
Yeah, like what?
So what do you think, Dan? The video quality, I mean.
1.1 million.
It's only 1.1?
Yeah.
I guess, but I was up by 900,000.
No, that would be inflation.
That would be a one.
I see what you're
I thought 50,000 was $1 million. Oh.
So
Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm looking at an inflation calculator.
I'm sure you're right. I read that.
An inflation
1 million.
calculator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a special app.
Go to
Whoa.
fucking dork.com. Is that where you got that? Fucking nerd?
Could you
I'm
find
helping
out?
you, Jim.
He's an inflation calculator watch. No wonder you don't get any puss.
Could you find out how much my $100 from 2012 is worth today
Sure.
on your inflation calculator?
Probably about
please?
$94 where the old dollar's going. It's
All
going
right.
down. Whole country's going down the goddamn tubes. Go ahead, Travis. Look it up.
I got
Look it up.
$100 in 2012.
Yeah, that's a good amount. That's a good wage.
All right, $100.
In 2012?
Yeah,
Oh,
2012.
My $100 is now worth $103.64.
Yeah, there you go. Take that, and that's what a cup of coffee costs you.
I didn't know there was an inflation calculator.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have fun with that later. I wanna know what my salary and yeah, here's one quickly. So I did overnights in Buffalo in let's say 92 for $12,000 a year. What was that in today's money? $20,351. Nice. They fucking were overpaying me back in the day. So Rather's gonna be fun today.
Twitter polls are now very popular.
Twitter polls?
Yes. Chip is now doing them.
Yeah, I don't like the options, though.
They're good options.
No, not all the time.
You can now vote on these Twitter polls.
Sis fucking at not Sam is, and you're only giving these two options?
You're only allowed to give 2.
Here, read it out loud.
PISA, spelled P-E-E-S-A, garbage, G-H-A-B-I-G-E, in capitals, garbage, or sock cucka. Those are your options.
Fucking not Sam is, 1 is a piece of garbage, and 2 is a sock cucker. Those are your choices.
You got 539 votes.
Yeah, that's right.
The spelling of garbage.
Yeah, Justin. That's how you spell it. Shut the fudge up.
Piece of garbage is ahead, by the way.
It should be, too. Yeah, these Twitter polls are,
Well, they're both horrible choices.
Yeah, they're not good.
Oh, wow, you got a lot of polls up there.
I did 3.
Yeah, there's 3 of them.
There's going to be a lot more as my animation gets ready. I got to do anything to promote.
What's the next one?
I don't know. I can't see. I'm an older gentleman. Why don't you make it bigger? Sick fucking puppies are heaviest fucking band or bowl of soup.
Oh, God.
Soup is S-O-O-P.
So?
No, I'm
Heaviest fucking band.
Is winning.
yeah.
Far ahead.
Fuck yeah.
Is winning in that Twitter poll.
Fuck yeah.
Can I ask Chip?
That's good. Only 34% think we're a bowl of soup.
And then we got one more here.
Yeah.
Yeah, girls say my pecker is fucking huge or fucking giant.
God. That's just
G.
horrible choices.
Oh, neck and
E-N-T.
neck.
Fuck
This one
yeah.
very close.
Bunch of girls are voting. I like his fucking pecker. It's fucking fat and thick.
Can I ask Chip a question?
No. Dan, fucking rather be anywhere but here, huh? Wait till I fucking get my hands on that cocksucker.
Whoa, that sounds like a veiled threat.
Fuck yeah. I'm gonna ask him questions.
Chip, what are you going to dress as for Halloween?
I'm probably gonna put on your outfit and then just go as a fucking pile of garbage. It's so hard to get out of.
I love Chip.
Just want to get into Chip and never come out. It's what's going to happen one day. I'm going to go in and never come back.
And never come back.
No.
Yeah.
Jimmy, can you hear us? Jimmy,
Yeah, that's what it's going to be like.
What's the frequency, Chip?
Yeah, I'm going to be in a fucking mental institution somewhere. My possessions sold off.
all your autograph stuff in a dumpster somewhere.
Gone, meaningless, yeah.
Just piles of celebrity photos.
I do wonder what's... it's funny, all that dumb shit, I wonder what's going to happen with it. Like, not that it matters. I mean, most of it's digital, but the stuff that's so important to me, that's not important to really anybody else, like, what happens to it?
Oh, I had a parent die. Most of it gets thrown away. And maybe a box of stuff is left, remains, and a jacket your dad used to wear. That's it. And a closet that you never, go through. So his clothes are still hanging, like it's still 2004. That's what happens. Because you realize that people just collect junk most of their lives, and there's really nothing that special in there.
Right.
You pick a couple things, I guess, to move on with, and then the rest are thrown away. That's the reality of it.
Maybe you should leave instructions for what you want done with it.
Nah, I mean, I just want people to do, like, signed photos of me. Who the fuck, some of them are cool because it's the person signing it, but who gives a fuck, really?
They will go through that. They will grab 4 or 5 that are pretty damn cool, and the rest will be...
Well, they're in little photo binders. They're not,
then maybe they'll throw that in an attic somewhere.
Yeah, just give it to someone. Look at this. We found these from many years ago. Who is that? That's funny. That's what they were saying in 2015.
What do you have autographed photos? You
Just got people with me. Yeah, with me.
Do you have other stuff like guitars or
no guitars? Too
baseballs?
Bulky. Baseballs, footballs, and basketballs. But people I've interviewed. The only ones I've ever bought from Steiner gave me a nice deal, but they just gave me for a little better than cost. Was some of the Yankees who I loved, like Mickey Rivers, Bucky Dent, nothing. Chris Chambliss, nothing I would ever sell. Like just guys that I loved as a kid.
Right.
Yeah. This is from my old college?
Yeah.
Did anyone else see this?
Yeah, it is.
What is it? The government's realizing they've educated nobody? Fucking removing their college status?
The colleges designating official Halloween costume sensitivity consultants. This is my old college? Geneseo, when I went, was just a down and dirty drinking party school, and now it's hoity-toity, and it's actually really hard to get into Geneseo. I hear from the people out there. And, man, when we had our Halloween parties, you could dress, you could go as crazy as you wanted. And now it's a whole thing. Colleges are hanging flyers around campus with phone numbers of officials that students can call to consult with about whether or not their Halloween costume is perfectly politically correct. Thank God I don't go to college now. Well, first of all, I would look like a fucking creep walking around
Absolutely.
campus. But thank God I'm not a young person going to college. This is really going on?
Of course. I wasn't even shocked when I read this. It sounds very, very much...
You're right. I'm not shocked either, but I'm surprised. I'm a little shocked because I know where Geneseo used to be.
Can't mock cultural or religious symbols such as dreadlocks, headdresses, afros, bindis, etc. Attempts to represent an entire culture or ethnicity. These are questions like, does the costume?
Right. You have to ask yourself these questions.
Trivialize human suffering, oppression, and marginalization, such as portraying a person who is homeless, imprisoned, a person with disabilities, or a person with mental illness. First of all, imprisoned. Well, why is that a person with human suffering? Maybe the person has caused human suffering.
Right.
You know what I mean? What the
right.
Oh, I don't even want to get it. This is just going to be too. Maybe can you be a baseball player?
Oh,
I think that's fun. You put on a baseball helmet, maybe like you're batting or something. I think that's fun.
That sounds like fun.
How about a Superman?
A Superman.
Halloween was always about being as tasteless as possible, and you would go to your party and you hope you had the most tasteless costume.
Right.
Period. And everyone accepted that. They just did. They would laugh over like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that.
It was always like, I wish I thought of that.
Of course.
It was always trying to outdo and surprise people.
Unsure if your costume might be offensive, ask a poster that's been hung around campus at State University of New York at Geneseo.
That's
Yuck.
good. I'm glad they're doing this. Very important.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Oh my God.
Why are you a douche? Should be the question you ask when you call.
The poster contains the phone number and emails of 5 campus officials that students can contact and discuss the very important issue of whether or not what they will dress up as to get drunk in will be advancing social justice causes.
That's excellent. Very, very responsible.
And then another university, Wesleyan University, has been hanging similar posters around the school, but with 6 numbers listed.
Absolutely. Important stuff.
Mm-hmm.
See, I do impressions. So I might be Dan Rather this year.
I'm doing the news.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I thought it was here already.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
This Halloween, show your true face. Being a member of Geneseo comes with responsibilities. Oh, my God.
Yes, it does.
You know how much puke is in those streets up there? So think about your actions in costume for Halloween. Oh, my God. Thank God I don't go to college.
You just got to keep it lighthearted.
Oh, Christ. What the fuck?
So if you were in college right now,
Right.
would you do the Caitlyn, or would you think that was too hacky? Not offensive, but would you think it was too hacky because everyone's going to be Caitlyn?
Well, everyone's going to be Caitlyn, but I think a few people are going to surprise the people at the party where they give it a really good twist and go, holy shit, now that's fucking good.
Yep. I got in trouble at my school. I put on an afro. And I was like, I'm a bank robber, y'all. And they're like, you can't put on blackface, Chipper. I'm like a bank robber or something.
Y'all.
I think you dress as Caitlyn Jenner and you have Bruce Jenner, bent down in front of your Caitlyn Jenner. Like Caitlyn's doing Bruce.
Like you're sticking your fucking pecker right at his asshole.
That I'd like to see.
That's a twist.
And that's a twist where people would be like, holy fuck, now that's good. Speaking of Caitlyn Jenner, our pal Judy Gold made the paper today.
Yes, he did.
Judy? Comic Judy Gold dared to train her sights on Caitlyn Jenner, who will add Glamour Magazine's Woman of the Year award to her recent accolades.
God.
Now they're making her Woman of the Year?
I think the praise is nice, but the fucking fact that there's just no balance. Giving her that award in ESPN was disgusting.
Yeah.
Over that girl who got her legs blown off.
Oh, Judy Gold gets into that.
Fucking disgusting.
Yes. This is stupid.
With a girl with brain cancer?
Yes.
Brain cancer playing...
Yes.
And then who was it that raised it before the show? That said, did you raise it, Paul, or Travis? Judy, fucking Caitlyn Jenner run somebody over? She's Woman of the Year?
And I don't even think she's been a woman for half the year.
She's
ridiculous.
Yeah. This is just
Stop
nonsense.
it.
Kill someone, get an award.
Is that how unbalanced we are? We can't just give a fucking be nice to trans people. We got to find one that's the representative and heap accolades on that could have been given to other people who were in that situation longer.
I don't even think it has anything to do with Caitlyn Jenner. It's like Glamour's looking for some press.
Okay, fair enough.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think.
No, you're right. I'm acting like it's a fucking Nobel Peace Prize, some dumb magazine. Hey, here's the best tits.
There's a lot of...
But now we're talking about Glamour magazine.
You bet we are. Well, we do every Friday.
I don't even really believe that Caitlyn believes in the cause that much. She believes in it to a certain extent, but there's a lot of narcissism involved there as well. She loves the attention that this has brought upon thee.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact, this is Judy Gold continuing, I don't like the fact that we cannot make fun of Caitlyn. Yes, Judy Gold, yes! Said Gold at the Tomorrow Is Tonight Gala benefiting Project ALS, adding, people are so overly sensitive now. On Jenner, she says, this is what I will say. ESPN gives her the Arthur Ashe Courage Award, but you know who should get the award? The woman who got her leg blown off at the Boston Marathon, who was a dancer. Caitlyn lived most of her life as a privileged white male. So don't tell me that you know what it's like to be a woman when you have lived your life as a privileged white male. And then, of course, they have to write too soon, ? And that wasn't Judy Gold saying too soon.
No.
Right.
Too soon?
Judy's a very, very funny stand-up. She's a really funny fucking stand-up, and she's harsh.
Yeah.
And, she's pretty brutal, which is great.
Right.
And she's totally right.
Yeah, you should be able to make fun of Caitlyn Jenner, of course. And you should be able to wear an insensitive Halloween costume.
Yep.
What the hell's going on with people?
That's crazy. The whole Halloween thing is really crazy.
Putting up posters, though?
Yep.
With phone numbers and emails?
I should call up and go, look, I got my pecker hanging out. And they're like, what are you supposed to be? I'm like, I'm a raper. Is that okay?
We should call the hotline.
Fuck yeah.
We got the number. Let's do this.
That's what I'm being for Halloween.
A raper?
Yup. Last year I put on a little mustache. I'm like, I'm Hitler. I did it, but it was in November. I fucked up. I was yelling, "Hi, Jews!" And they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm Hitler." They're like, "Chip, but that's wrong."
It's insensitive.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be Caitlyn. Have my fucking tits in my pecker, and then people are gonna go, "That lady has a pecker."
Are you going to a party?
No.
Where are you going to go with your Halloween costume?
To a fucking MYB place. Mind your fucking beeswax.
Ah. I ripped up the article. I was hoping that we could call the phone number, but now I ripped up that article.
I'm sure it's gettable.
Very small pieces.
That was the only copy of it.
You're putting it back together like a puzzle.
I don't know. Oh, God. I ripped up the whole thing in anger.
We can find the piece of paper.
No. Shit. All right. Maybe we can find the number. I would like to call these people.
We'll find it.
And say, what the hell's going on up there in Geneseo?
It's just, everyone's trying to... They would contribute. They're all trying to contribute to the and people just have to keep upping the ante, and that's why people keep going deeper, because it's like, well, okay, the guys 5 years ago said this and made this statement, so how can I make a statement that gets me a little bit of... I mean, I'm a comedian. That's what I do for a living, so I kind of get it.
It's disgusting. I would love to know what they suggest you should dress as.
I don't know, like superheroes or baseball players or no, there's a lot of things. You don't have to, degrade the cultural or ethnicity or prisoners or a victim. All right. Like what? Big baby? Can you be a baby?
Most people realize Halloween costumes were boring, so that's why they got tasteless.
Yeah, it's a place to be creative.
And then tasteless for the night.
Sure, creative and tasteless can absolutely go hand in hand.
They certainly can.
Yeah.
So they'd have a problem with, like, the pregnant nun costume and all that, right?
No, they wouldn't, because Catholicism. They would enjoy that.
You think?
Of course. They're talking about Islam. They make fun of Islam.
Yeah,
don't wear burqas.
The phone.
Yeah, Walmart pulled some Israeli fighter costume and like a sheik nose.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because it's offensive.
But it was in there for a little while.
Yeah, because nobody has a problem with it until somebody has a problem with it.
Right. Can't someone just have a problem with it? You are. I'm sorry.
Sorry, you don't like it.
And then Walmart panicked and they got rid of the costume, but they had it in there for a little while.
Yeah, no problem with all the sexy slutty costumes.
Yeah,
grade yourself all you want.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Our phones don't work today, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Maybe, I don't know, they blew up or something. There's all sorts of error messages.
What's wrong with the phones?
If Mars, because maybe one of these people are calling from Geneseo, and maybe they have the phone number for us.
But Travis and I were talking about this the other day, just about Halloween costumes, and people are.
Travis is shaking his head that you weren't talking.
We
about
were.
No, stop telling people that we talk.
We
exactly.
Do talk.
We on the phone like two fucking hens at 11 o'clock at night.
Just talking about costumes.
So what are you gonna be? I don't know. What do you think I should be? Are you gonna be like a lady? I don't know. How about you? Fucking couple of moes chit-chatting late at night.
Not at all.
Pillow talk. Your wives are both sleeping, and yet you guys are whispering into the phone.
You hang up first.
See you tomorrow. Ugh.
But like everyone freaks out about the offensive costumes, yet every costume for a woman is like slutty cop, slutty this, slutty that, and it's all low cut and boobs hanging up, and no one has a problem with that.
Well, I'm sure they have a problem with that as well.
Yeah.
The article I just read, I would guarantee if some young 18-year-old girl calls the number and talks about her slutty costume, they're going to say it's inappropriate.
Walmart guy, they did yank a woman's costume. It was a girl. They said it was age inappropriate. It was a stupid, I don't know. It's some mask. Like it was one of those fucking shitty mask you wear as a kid, like a Supergirl thing almost. Yeah. And it was just a Supergirl or something like that outfit, and the entire crotch was missing, and the costume was just called Cunt Showing.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Ages 3 to 8, and they thought that was inappropriate.
Is that from a TV show or a movie?
It's gonna make me happy.
Yeah. What is this article from Gothamist? The best.
Oh, you can be a pumpkin. There you go.
The best, worst, sexy Halloween costumes of 2015. What is it? So what are they saying?
They're
The
just
sexy
showing things
detention teacher is another favorite because statutory rape is adorable. Oh, I see what they're doing.
I don't disagree. Oh, they're being sarcastic.
Oh God, you can't dress it like a sexy fucking teacher.
Can you be Jared carrying some bloody diapers? Comment.
Whoa!
Comment.
Save it for rather.
Oh, you can't. Wait, could you start? The Gothamist is ridiculous.
Yeah.
One of the people from the Gothamist lives in my building, and we used to get along, and our kids used to play with each other at the playground. And then she figured out who I was, and now she fucking can't stand me and makes sure she avoids me at all costs.
Really?
And we used to have nice little conversations in the playground about our kids and stuff. Oh yeah. I was like, oh, wow, really? Okay. So what are they saying with these costumes over there, Eric?
They're just saying that...
Let's go through it.
Okay. Some of these things that shouldn't necessarily be sexy.
You could also purchase a pantsless version of this costume, and that is pissing off the Gothamist. The sexy mutant ninja turtle. They suggest that that's too much, right?
There's nothing wrong with
Well,
that.
they're not wrong. That is a little much.
The sexy detention teacher is another favorite, like I said, because statutory rape is adorable. All right,
Absolutely.
continue. And since there's nothing sexier than thinking about the challenges faced by incarcerated women in the United States, here's a hot prison costume.
Absolutely, because none of them are incarcerated because they smothered their children. So you might as well let's worry about their plight. The Gothamist is right.
Yeah. Then there's this sexy, insane asylum patient outfit, which comes complete with the slug line. Anita sedative. Okay. Nothing gets the libido going quite like a straitjacket and the after effects of electric shock therapy.
Are they being sarcastic? 'Cause I kind of agree with everything they're saying. It does get my libido going. Gets my dick hard. Restraints.
See, I think this is a totally different...
Are they backing this stuff up? Because I do think statutory rape is a home run. They're saying it's wrong.
Yeah, they're saying it's wrong.
These guys.
Go up. They talk
coming
more
at it
about
from the
this.
wrong angle.
Oh.
Halloween is the perfect time for cultural appropriation.
Incarcerated persons' costumes aside.
Persons, right.
How about prisoners?
Right. A cursory sexy costume search yielded dozens of sexy Native American outfits with names like sexy adult Native American princess, sexy Indian sweetheart costume, naughty Native babe, and Pocahontas. Please remember that despite what Disney taught you, Pocahontas was actually kidnapped by the English as a teenager and died in captivity at the age of 21. Pocahontas is a sad story.
She should have run away.
But by all means, use her plight and the plight of Native Americans nationwide to get laid.
Fair enough. But they're behind it. They're saying, look, just know that she was kidnapped and died, but it's okay to use it.
I don't think you understand the tone.
I do understand the tone, Trav Dog. What do you think? I can't read it. Look at this. Sexy geisha girl costumes, also not recommended.
What?
Oh, come on. That's a typo.
Why not recommended?
Then again, it is cultural appropriation any worse than dressing up like a sexy dictator. That not wrong. Both are okay.
Oh, good. More importantly, who are the people who want to bang a murderous child-shaped doll? And
Hands up.
And can we put them away somewhere? The girl's dressed like Chucky, all sexy.
Sexy Chucky.
And she's got a nice axe in her hand.
My hands up. I'd bang a little redheaded Chucky. Little doll legs kicking. Yeah. Dirty doll, put this in your mouth. I'll clean you up. Yeah. Halloween's my favorite. I'm coming. Then I'm going to get the door. Here's your candy sticking through the lettuce slot. Kiss the candy. Yeah, go ahead, put your mouth on the candy. Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Yeah. My favorite. Go ahead, keep reading. I'll chime in.
I think that was it, actually.
Oh, God.
Is there any others in this?
No, you got a sexy Charlie Brown.
Like a sexy Charlie Brown.
That's a little weird.
That's a weird reach.
She has giant birthing hips.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. I used to like the little bird that would sit on top of the doghouse. What was his name? Tweety?
Woodstock.
Oh.
Was Tweety.
Whatever.
You didn't like Charlie Brown?
I didn't care about Charlie Brown. I liked Linus. Sloppy boy with a little towel. Clean up your mess. Get a spanking.
I think it was more of a security blanket.
Yeah, they
I don't
need
think you're
that
supposed to-
sometimes. They just chew on a blanket and stare straight ahead.
And your favorite character? Your favorite character was the bird?
Are we on?
Oh, we're done with the Gothamist.
Oh, they have a sexy Buzz
That's all
Lightyear.
right. It's fine.
They
now.
have a
Ariel.
sexy Ariel.
It's fine. We're good.
No, I'm just gonna go through.
We're good
That's
now.
not Chewbacca.
Yeah, we're fine. They're really mad at sexy costumes. There you go.
Sexy
There's the
gumball
headline
machine.
there. Yeah, it don't matter
Sexy
anymore.
wine bottle.
It doesn't matter.
Look,
Okay.
sexy
Sexy cupcake.
All right. The Gothamist. got her.
Sexy beaver.
The Gothamist
Sexy
has to relax a little bit. Okay,
jellyfish.
we're certainly
Oh.
Donald Trump.
Sexy Donald Trump.
All right, we're good.
Is that funny, or are they saying it's wrong? Let's see.
Oh, this is wrong.
At least this one's successfully terrifying. Whatever. The Gothamist is just.
What is the
ridiculous.
Gothamist?
They do this type of thing.
And what-
I think they're outraged by everything.
And how-
That's why the woman doesn't talk to me anymore.
I was gonna
It's a
Gothamist.
blog.
Huh?
It's a blog.
Yeah,
sure.
There's Gothamist, there's DCist, there's
Yeah.
Chicagoist. It's really good, but it's very left leaning.
Of course it is.
That's
But
extremely
they do
left-leaning.
post some really good
They
stuff.
do have something about an Arby's opening in Midtown.
I guess they're against it, right? Why are they against it? Because it's cheap, shitty food in this cultural mecca?
No, it's new. It's not everything is
as bad as the
yeah.
the
Not
Halloween
everything's
costume
opinionated.
article.
A lot of it is New York news.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I hate when people get mad, like a Kmart is coming or something like Walmart, like, they're shit. And it's like, you know what? A lot of people, that's where they shop because they're affordable. What the fucking elitist cunt? What's wrong? I love Walmart. I do, especially their truck drivers. I'm on a fucking kid. I'm on the road. Walmart fucking rules.
Yeah. I love Walmart.
They are very convenient.
Yeah, they're amazing. They got everything.
I do like my time at Target a couple
too.
times a year, walking through the Target, getting some shit.
So, did you have any run-ins with the Gothamist? Like, did they write bad shit about you in the show?
No,
or
nothing.
anything?
What is this? Inside the actor studio?
Well,
Shut up.
no, because the woman wouldn't talk to him anymore. So I didn't know if they led an attack against this show.
No, that's what was weird.
That's
We all got along. I think her husband, I know her husband knew exactly who I was and was actually really cool and excited, like when he realized who I was. And our
Right.
kids are playing, and he excitedly told her. And then that's when everything changed.
Boom.
So she obviously hates my fucking guts, but liked me as a person before she knew who I was.
right.
So.
See, that was a good question.
And now she just completely ignores me like we never talked. It's the craziest thing. We'll be in the elevator. I'm like, we fucking talk
You should be
for
extra
hours.
nice to her.
Oh,
Yeah.
very polite.
Yeah, out of your
whatever.
way.
In the end, whatever. But I just found it extremely strange.
Should have won her over again. Just be real nice to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice as pie.
Ooh, we got Florentine checking in. Jim, the phones were all messed up for a while there. What's going on, Florentine?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was trying for like 20 minutes.
No, we had to
so,
reboot the phones. We're talking about my old college, and it's happening at a lot of colleges. They're hanging up posters with hotlines and email addresses. So if you're not sure if your Halloween costume is politically correct, you could call these numbers and talk to like an expert.
Oh, that's great.
Isn't it?
Good. You know what? Let it ruin Halloween. Because I got an empty club I'm going to be performing to this Saturday at Caroline.
Is that why you're calling?
And that's why I'm fucking calling.
Well, why the hell would you take the gig at Caroline's on Halloween weekend?
Because I'm a whore.
Yeah, I understand that.
Can people at least show up in their costumes to see a funny man like yourself?
No, because it's Halloween, Saturday Halloween in New York City, and the Mets are playing Game 4 4
Jesus.
miles away.
Oof.
So at least you know they're not going to hold it against you. You can't compete with that shit.
No.
Well, that's what they say, of course. No, we won't. We'll give you another date, but I'm not getting another date.
Nah, this one of these things, man. That's a very, very hard weekend. Even people who aren't obviously going to the Met game are going to be home watching it.
You're competing with the Mets in the World Series and Halloween. And there's
In New York City, and the Mets are 4 miles away.
And there's a marathon. And a New York City marathon.
On Sunday.
So people are going to be on their best behavior, and they're not going to be going out if they're running that marathon either.
every guy that's in a relationship has to go to a Halloween party on Saturday. You got no choice. It's on a Saturday.
Right.
Your chick's not going by herself. I'm gonna feel weird. Wear a mask and nobody knows who the fuck you are. Who cares?
That's it. Oh, God.
So I'm screwed.
Yeah, you kind of are, which is too bad because Florentine is hilarious.
But you know what? That's good. That's good that this is going on. So then all of a sudden, no one will wear any costumes anymore.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about that.
Oh, yeah, you're one of these guys. You think it's ridiculous that adults dress up.
No. Look, yeah, sometimes you got to do it. I did it a couple times. Like I said, I went as OJ, like the 6 months after his murder.
Yeah, there you go.
All over me with an OJ mask on and a knife, and nobody talked to me the whole party.
That wouldn't be acceptable these days. If you called that Geneseo hotline, they would suggest strongly against you doing that costume. Yeah,
and I went as a bloody tampon the next year.
Yeah, there you go. Tasteless Halloween costumes. It's perfect.
But no, that's good. No, I don't mind. Look, you got to do it. I did it before. You're dating a hot chick now, or your wife, or whatever, and she wants to go, and all the friends there. You got to take the bullet. The only one that could get out of that is Jim Norton. I don't know how. He would say, "Look, I got 17 spots on Saturday night. I can't go dress up for Halloween." In some way, he'd pull it off.
Yeah, I really never went to a lot of them. I went years ago when I was dating Jen. I went to Anthony's. I dressed as Uncle Paul, and Jen dressed as a nun, and she blew me later that night. And I went down on. There's a picture of me going down on my girlfriend. You can't see her pussy, you just see my face. She said it to me recently. She found it, and I'm his Uncle Paul, and you see me between her nun legs. If I can find it, I'll tweet it because it's a funny photo.
That's very funny.
But yeah, I don't mind Halloween. It doesn't bother me. It's like it's just a silly night. It doesn't. It's a bad to drive. If you got to drive in, take the fucking train, dude, tonight.
I know. Well, I remember you always bitching about that. You had shows and you got the Halloween parade and stuff like that in the city. Like, what the fuck are these people getting dressed up for? What's wrong with them?
Yeah, it annoyed me only because it was affecting my work. Jen, another Jen, our mutual friend who was on Jim's show. The hot girl from That Metal Show tweeted how funny you are. I just saw her tweet this morning. It's 212-757-4100 to see Jim this weekend. And Jim's a really funny comic, and I'm saying everybody knows it.
She came out last night. No, look, I got nothing against Halloween. It just sucks. It falls on a Saturday, and you got the Mets. New York's in a frenzy, even though, I don't think they're going to win this World Series. The Royals are just too good, so.
Yeah.
It's not looking good so far, but we'll see. Don't count those Mets out.
You know what happened with the Mets is that they had too long of a layoff. The Royals had like 1 day less than them, but when you're on a roll like the Mets were, you don't need a week off. They haven't a week off since like February before they started spring training, and Jim knows as a comic, if you're on a roll doing 5-6 sets a night, for 3 straight weeks, and then you're off for a week and you don't even hit the stage, you're rusty.
Right. Want to keep that momentum going. Hey,
so they lost it.
How about your Dolphins last night? Yuck.
Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
Why is it beautiful?
No, I mean, look, you can't compete with the Patriots. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's not even. They're in a whole other league, and they've always been. I don't even hate the Patriots because they're so good. How could you be mad at them?
36.
The best coach and the best quarterback in football probably ever.
36-7 last night.
You think he's better than Montana?
He's a fucking good quarterback, man.
He's won 4 Super Bowls too, and Montana was 4-0. Brady's 4-2, and those 2 catches the Giants made in those 2 Super Bowls, he should have been 6-0.
Okay.
Right. And now they're 7-0 on the season. You think they go undefeated? They got a good shot at it, huh?
They might slip up somewhere.
Yeah.
Along the way. But you know what? That stupid Deflategate thing, which I hate even saying that word, that fired this team up.
Yeah.
And they're out of their minds that they, all the league is jealous. One of the former Jet guy who works in the front office of the NFL, and he's the one who said, we're going to try to catch him on deflating the balls, and that's why this whole shit started.
Yeah.
And they're pissed. They're like, fuck this. They've been in the news and all that stuff. So they're angry, and I love that. Even the owner yesterday at halftime, Willie McGinnis was getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. He even called the Colts out because the Colts want to rat it on him. They go, it's so good to beat the Colts in his speech about Willie McGinnis. So they're pissed.
Yeah, they're just have something to prove this year. They want to fuck over the whole league. Make it hurt.
At least that's one of your teams that you like. So that's good.
Yeah, it was a good win for one of my teams last night. Absolutely.
And it was a loss for one of your teams.
No, I'm not. It's only 3 teams.
1-1 last night.
The Dolphins, that's where it becomes a bit.
Hooray for the Patriots. Too bad for the Dolphins.
My father-in-law loves the Dolphins and a couple of my brother-in-laws, but no, it goes Jets first, then Bills, then Patriots. Those three teams I definitely like, which is stupid. I know. We've been over this.
It's funny how people in Buffalo are already sick of Rex Ryan. He came in here with all this bullshit, and they're ready to. The team's already getting blown up.
Are they really sick of him?
Yeah, the people in Buffalo, there's already rumblings because he comes in here. We're going to the playoffs. We'll win a Super Bowl. All this stuff. We're going to do this. We can't wait to play the Patriots. We'd rather play them, on a Wednesday if we can play them on a Wednesday because we're so excited. They get blown out by them, and people are like, this guy's just full of shit like he was with the Jets.
Well, what's their record now? They've dropped a few in a row now, right? The Bills?
I think they're like 3-4.
3-4. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's not. They started off pretty hot though.
Yeah, they did. But he just talks a good game, and everyone buys his bullshit.
Right. Yeah, they got 2 losses in a row. Last 5, they went 2-3. All right.
You lose to the Jaguars.
The Jaguars. That's not good. Florentine.
In one of those goofy London games that start at 9:30 in the morning, they have to watch on the internet. That's a good move.
I was excited to watch that game, and then I have to watch it on my laptop. I'm like, oh God.
Yahoo gave the NFL $20 million for that game.
I heard it was a lot of money. I didn't know it was $20 million. Damn.
$20 million. So the NFL is going to go, of course.
Yeah.
The owner split that, that $20 million 32 ways. So they're like, oh yeah, throw it on the internet. Who gives a shit? Nobody's going to watch that game anyway.
That's a nice payday. More pocket money for those owners that are ridiculously rich to begin with. What do you think of football in London?
Well, look, for people that live in London, Americans or even, British people that like it, it's great for them. They'll go to the game. Why not? But it's stupid. It's not, they give them shitty games. There's never any good games, and none of the real owners want to give up a good game.
Sure.
To go over to London. The Cowboys, the Patriots never give up a home game, or the New York Giants.
Right.
They're like, we're not going to do that. So, it's the shitty teams, the Jaguars, the Texans, the Dolphins, they give up their games because the owners just want to put a little more money in their pocket.
You think the NFL eventually expands to London?
No, I don't think so, because some guy's family, no one's going to want to sign with the London team. A free agent, then he's got to move his family over there. The tax are like 50%. He's going to take his kids out of school and move them over to London, and they're not going to do that. You know what?
There might be a way for them to do it where I don't know. I have a feeling some guys might actually really like that. Some guys may do it just for that reason. Like, what a fucking cool thing to go live in England, but you're based out of the U.S. They'll figure out the tax thing, because people do that.
And I think the NFL really wants it, right? Florentine?
And you'd be a star in London.
I think it's going to be really tough to travel. These teams, the travel and stuff like that. A West Coast team going to London, or the London team have to come to the West Coast to play the Raiders and stuff like that, flights and all that stuff. So they got to figure that stuff out too.
We were thinking about this the other day. I wonder if they would do something like they'll give the London team they'll schedule it a certain way, like maybe a West Coast team. You travel, like you play New York. They'll figure you play an East Coast team and then fly to London to do that. So you have a whole week there. Like they'll figure it out, dude. They'll make it work.
Mm. Yeah, the London team will play like two games on the road in the States back to back. They'll play the Giants and they'll play the Bills, so they'll just stay in New York for a week.
But how would you figure out your fantasy football lineup if you got to worry about players that are traveling from London to the West Coast?
How maddening is that, watching a football game and every commercial is FanDuel or whatever the other fantasy football thing? It's maddening.
Every time those pop up, I just start laughing to myself because I'm just thinking about you. I'm thinking that this has got to be driving Florentine nuts because they really have ramped up the fantasy football this year in particular.
It's unbelievable. They don't even have any other commercials. In a way, it's good because then you don't see any new Peyton Manning, Papa John commercials.
Oh, God, thank God for that. Those commercials are horrendous.
They're all just fantasy football commercials, but it's every commercial after every TV timeout is back to that commercial.
And these analysts are forced to talk about, fantasy football now, which I think is hilarious.
They don't want to talk about it.
I know they don't, but they're forced to because they know how big it's become.
They talked about it in the damn debate.
That's right. It made the debate the other night.
Yeah.
Jeff Bush was talking about his fantasy football team and how well he's doing. I think he's 7-0 this year with his team. I know it drives you nuts. Yeah. They have DraftKings moments and all that shit now. Oh, God. Florentine, we got to go to a break, but Caroline's tonight, Saturday, which is tomorrow, obviously, and Sunday, 212-757-4100. Huh?
Yeah, games 3, 4, and 5 in New York City World Series.
I'm going to come by and see you, though, man. I forgot you were there this weekend, and I'm doing nothing, so I'm probably going to come by and see you on the Late Show tonight or tomorrow.
You gotta
do a set, man, because it's just a 2-man show. This guy Eric, I forget his last name. He's really funny. He's opening, so come up, do a set.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to see you.
That would be wonderful. Yes, Florentine. Jesus, I don't know, man. You're up against a tough one this time.
It's a very tough night, dude. It's a very, very tough night to compete against.
I think you want the Mets to lose. Now they get down 3 games to 0, and then maybe people start tapping out of the World Series, and then they start looking around and go, what else could we do? And then all of a sudden your name pops up, and they go, oh, he's really funny. Why don't we do that? Let's go to Caroline's. I think that's what we got to hope for.
You know, and that might be in the discussion, and then the woman's going to go, no, now we're going to go to the Halloween party. Perfect.
Right. Oh yeah. Now we could go to my friend's Halloween party. Oh yeah. Oh, you're fucked. Enjoy the curtain.
Oh yeah, I'm bringing another curtain.
Oh, the curtain.
I'm bringing my own curtain to curtain it off. But you know what's great? Because you know how many women are going to be mad that their guy's going to want to watch the Met game at this Halloween party on Saturday?
Sure.
Met fans, they haven't been in the World Series since 2000.
Yeah, and the game's always in another room, and then all the guys start going into that room to check out the game, and then they have to catch some heat because they're not mingling at the Halloween party.
You were in the other room the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You paid attention to the game a little too much.
I live with you. I'm going to see you in 5 minutes.
All right, Jim. We do have to take a break. Once again, problem. Jim Florentine, Caroline. Seriously, man. I mean, if you could figure it out, please do. Florentine would appreciate it. He's got 2 shows tonight, 2 shows tomorrow, 1 show Sunday. Caroline's on Broadway. 212-757-4100. All right.
Thanks, man.
I'll see you tonight or tomorrow, Jim.
Yeah, we'll see you soon, Jim. All right.
All right, buddy.
What do you got there, Jimmy? We got to take a break here.
Just Charlotte next weekend, which I'm very much looking forward to. Erie, which I've never been to. Jacksonville, San Francisco, Scottsdale, Louisville. And I got a whole tour to announce, but I'm not announcing that. Why am I not making it? Not until November 9th do I announce that.
Okay.
So why don't I shut my fat face?
Okay.
And just do these. I'm doing a lot of cities coming up.
Okay.
Daddy's got to make some moolah.
We got Dan Rather coming in, Mark Norman. We got other people coming in. We got audio of Jared Fogle talking about abusing children. Now the audio is finally out because it was rumored.
It's out.
Yeah, and it was illegally obtained. We're going to go over that. Going to be a long segment for some people.
And other things. We are back. Got Mark Norman in the studio again today. Nice.
Hey, 2 in a row, baby.
2 days in a row. We tried this a couple weeks ago. It didn't work out.
It almost didn't work out today, but I pushed. I rallied.
You hurting?
You rallied.
Oh, my God, I'm dying.
What were you doing last night?
We did our big show called Shtick or Treat, where we have 60 comedians doing 2 minutes of their favorite comedian, and it got pretty wild.
Nice.
Sold it out. I did Tracy Morgan. I came out and got hit by a Walmart truck. One guy did Weird Al Jazeera.
That's funny.
It gets creative. It gets good.
And the crowd was loving it.
Yeah,
Big crowd.
Great crowd. We did it at the Knitting Factory in Brooklyn.
Beautiful.
It was great.
Wonderful. We're gonna have Dan Rather in here in a few minutes.
Oh, jeez, I'll keep my mouth shut.
Why?
Well, he's
I see you got the sunglasses on. You're hurting that bad.
Oh, the light.
You didn't have to come in.
Ah, come on. I'm not going to bail 2 weeks in a row. What am I?
I didn't know you had your big night, though, last night.
Who am I, Giannis? Come on.
You tried with Kaitlyn yesterday, huh?
Oh, my God. Did I try? And I got a ton of tweets about it. Hey, did you fuck her? Did you fuck her? Did you pee on her? Did you pee on her?
I saw that there was some kind of attraction, certainly from you to her.
Oh, my God.
I thought she might be thinking a little bit about it, too. She's the snowboarder that won the gold medalist that comes in here once in a while. I like her. And you went for it after the show?
I went for it, yeah.
Did you guys go out?
No, I tried. I hit on her and she walked away. Yeah, just straight up said, "Can I get your number?" And she went, "Oh, come on," and went into the bathroom.
That's funny. Can I get your number?
Yeah.
How long did she hide in the bathroom?
A while. I actually waited.
Did you really wait?
I waited for about 10 minutes outside after I talked to you, and then I waited in the lobby, and then no dice.
No, so you were going to go for it again?
Yeah, well, just like a goodbye kind of thing.
Because I read into you in the bathroom when you were telling me the story.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were going to try again.
Well, I just wanted to patch it up a little bit. It was such a bad ending.
But that's not a bad ending.
What, are you kidding?
Just asking for a number, that's not bad.
I know, but then she went out.
I'll cut it out, you.
Yeah, they cut it out.
You're silly to think this.
Yeah, what are you, crazy?
Maybe she had to, drop some deuces in there. Or she was avoiding you.
She is a hiker. She probably eats a lot of granola.
She had a tough one.
Right.
She had to hustle one out.
Yeah, but what
bathroom.
But what a fate. Usually these female athletes aren't as... she was very girly and cute.
Very attractive and good personality.
Yeah, sweet as a button.
But...
Are buttons sweet? I don't know where that came from.
But you got shut down, my friend.
Shut down. But hey, you got to try. It's a numbers game.
All right. Is Rather here? Can we start?
He is here. He's making his way down the hall.
Oh, so he'll be in here any second.
I think he'll be here any minute. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then we shouldn't start any other shit.
Oh, boy.
We'll wait for the great Dan Rather.
I think we have a minute or two.
All right.
A minute or two?
Yeah.
Glad we got Rather. Lou Dobbs is a real fag. Just joking. I love the gays.
Robert Redford plays Dan Rather in this movie, Truth, that a lot of us saw last night.
Oh, wow.
It was a good movie, well acted.
Yeah, Redford's good.
And Rather had to pretty much step down from CBS after some controversy that started in 2004. I think he made it to like 2005 or...
What
yeah,
happened?
2005. And then he was still doing things for CBS, and then they got rid of him totally in 2006.
And then came the lawsuit.
And then Rather sued him for a lot of money, breach of contract, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then why did they dismiss the lawsuit in 2009, I think?
Let me see.
That must have been a bummer for Dan Rather. That's never good when they dismissed the lawsuit. I don't think that was Dan's doing.
Right.
I don't think Dan was like, all right, I'm over all this.
Yeah, no, a judge dismissed it. I mean,
Yeah, why? Do you know?
I think it was just without merit or something. I think he tried to blame CBS and everyone for making him a scapegoat in the whole story, and the court disagreed.
Right. Let's see. Here, the anchor's motion to reinstate his $70 million lawsuit against the longtime employer.
Wow.
He was not happy how his career ended at CBS.
What did he do? I don't get it. What did they claim he did?
Oh, these documents that supposedly were from 73, but then the blog said, no, man, they were made on a Microsoft Word, and you obviously didn't have Microsoft Word in 1973.
Right.
I think you got to back
The
up.
font was different.
I think you got to back up a little more for Mark, though. I'm not sure Mark really knows who Dan Rather is.
I know he's a news guy from 60 Minutes.
Wow.
Right? Oh, boy. Am I thinking of Andy Rooney?
No, you're 100%.
No, you are.
You're 100%
Okay.
right. I mean, we grew up watching Dan Rather every single night.
Aha.
Yeah, he was one of the longest anchors ever. There he
Oh,
is.
boy.
The man himself. Oh, my
we stand?
goodness. Dan Rather.
How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Dan Rather.
How you doing? Don't mind my appearance.
That's Mark Norman. That's Paul Opie. Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much.
And we're on the air, too.
Yes. Dressing all nice. Looks like he's ready to go do the news right now.
Yes, you look great.
You look wonderful, Mr. Rather.
Well, thank you. Better have your eyesight checked.
Looks like you're ready to go do the news, but I'm sure you're doing a lot of press for.
You stayed right in that case.
Yeah,
Somebody needs somebody to fill in. You're right on the spot.
and you're ready to go. You're promoting Truth, right? Even though you don't really have anything to do with the process of this movie, but you're promoting
No,
it.
I didn't. I had very little to do with it.
Yeah.
Mary Mapes, who was my colleague at CBS News,
Yes.
wrote a book. The movie is based on her book. But I have no financial interest in the movie. I didn't write the script. I talked to Robert Redford twice over a period of time. But I was both surprised and pleased that the movie is very accurate. It's
Right.
very accurate to Mary's book and reflects what happened as I recall it. I want to say I'm pleased and relieved about that because sometimes Hollywood gets a hold of something and
Yeah, it makes
you
it.
don't recognize it by the time they...
Sure.
I wouldn't have seen Robert Redford playing you. No offense, but it was good. Like I saw Redford, I'm like, oh boy, and he really captured your who you are and your voice and your mannerisms, and it worked.
Well, I think this is an underestimated performance by Redford because what you say is true. He didn't try to make a caricature of me. He didn't try to impersonate me. What he tried to do is capture the essence, which is a very difficult thing to do. But I was amazed that he got it dead on, absolutely dead on. But it was very, very difficult. And, it's a surreal experience to see someone playing you up on the big screen.
Sure.
I don't care who you are. And I'm still trying to get my head around it, trying to process it.
Yeah, he was wonderful. His acting was great. And you didn't feel like you were, looking at Redford. Sometimes when it's a recognizable actor like that, you get thrown off a little bit because you're like, oh, that's Robert Redford. But you don't think that with this.
Well, I know it sounds cliché, but it's true that when they call me to tell me that Redford had accepted the role, I honestly thought they were kidding me.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, Redford's one of the greatest actors of this or any other generation. Mm-hmm. And I did go over some, names of people in my own head, but it never occurred to me that Redford would accept the part.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And CBS is not happy that this film is out there, huh?
Well, apparently so. They refused to take any evidence.
Yes, I was reading that this morning.
I say gently, with no aggressiveness. What have they got to hide? Well, their public position is that they didn't do anything wrong.
Yes.
So then why would they try to block out the movie, if you will? Mm-hmm. But they're going to do what they're going to do. That one of the good things about the movie, and I think there are a lot of good things about the film. As with our own story, it's not a perfect film, but it's a very good film because it resonates to today about what's happened to the news. I find people say, we all know that news has been denigrated down, entertainment values have overwhelmed it. So the question is, well, what happened to the news? And the overarching part of this movie deals with that question. What happened to the news, why it happened, how it happened, and, yes, why you should care.
Do you think it was the fact that it became a 24-hour news cycle, and it's like they have to report something, so they just start making things that aren't really news and just competing with each other?
Well, there are a lot of factors. I do think the 24-hour news cycle, more than a 24-hour news cycle, let's face it, with the Internet, there's a deadline every nanosecond.
Yeah, there's pressure to get your story on before everyone else, so that makes it harder
to match the competition.
Yeah, exactly.
For example, not that long ago, a reporter for the New York Times or CBS News could start out the day and say, well, I can spend the day making telephone calls and wearing out shoe leather, going and talk to people, doing actual reporting. Now, your average reporter is expected to file two or three times during an hour on Twitter, expected to blog. He gets rockets from the office saying our competition is saying, what, can you match it? And calling back in 2 minutes and say, where are you? They're killing us. So this is part of the new atmosphere in journalism. But there are other factors, and these factors I do think that the film Truth deals with. Is the corporatization, politicalization of the news, which is much deeper and broader than I think most consumers of news realize, has led to the trivialization of news. An example would be, not that long ago, major news organizations, and some not so major, would have a bureau in Afghanistan. We still have our sons and daughters fighting and dying there. Now, it's much easier, much cheaper, to put four people in a room, having them shout at each other about Afghanistan, and by the way, typically none of them have ever been there, than it is to finance a bureau. The other place where it really cuts deep is in investigative reporting, deep digging investigative reporting. It's among the most expensive practices of journalism, and it tends to be controversial because you're trying to find out things that people, particularly people in power, don't want you to know.
Sure.
So as there's been consolidation of media, ever-growingly large international corporations get control of the companies that have sway over more than 80% of the national distribution of news. Those corporations have a lot of things they need out of Washington. So I recognize this is a family program, but if you'll forgive my reporter's French, you have very big business in bed with very big government in Washington, whether that government at any given moment is controlled by Democrats or Republicans. And they want news for their mutual benefit, not for the public interest.
Of course.
And that's one of the reasons that to go to entertainment. You talk about the Kardashians and somebody raises hell about it, well, what's the big deal? But if you do an investigative report about the mayor or the governor or the president or senator, that causes trouble. And if you take my point, the very large corporation does not want that trouble.
Right.
Do you think that, like, kind of judge what you just said, like, do you think that you guys were somehow a victim of that? Do you think that in hindsight they rushed the story out? Not because they wanted to, say, crucify Bush, but because they wanted the story first? Do you think it was maybe put together a little more sloppy than it should have been behind the scenes?
Well, there is. And let's face it, we're talking about the darkest moment of my professional career. And we made some mistakes in the process. But it's the rare story you don't make mistakes. But here's the point. We made some mistakes in the process, and what you just described was a factor. It was not the major factor, but it was a factor. But in our case, although the process was flawed, as it frequently is when you are doing hour by hour, day by day reporting, we got to the truth. We got to the facts. Now, these were facts that had been kept secret for a very long time. What facts am I talking about? And I'm not trying to retry the case. But fact one, no question that a much younger George W. Bush, in what he himself has called his troubled youth, political influence got him into a special section of the Air National Guard, was designed to ensure he wouldn't have to go to Vietnam. He was not the only one. There were other sons of other politicians who did so. Mm-hmm. So that's a fact.
And that was 1973 for the people.
Now, fact two is once he got in and he was trained as a pilot very quickly, he was at least reasonably good and maybe better than that. But this is fact two. Then he disappears for a year. I submit to you that nobody disappears on duty with the armed forces. So he disappeared for a year. So when I say we got to the truth, we got to the facts. We got to those and other facts. In the process of getting to that truth, we did make some mistakes. And as you say, one of the errors was that the network wanted to get the program on right away because our program, 60 Minutes 2, was being preempted for 2 successive weeks after that. I recognize for someone listening, this may all sound very complicated, but
no, it's a fascinating story. I'm right there with you.
It happens with regularity because the very top of the very large corporation does not want trouble in Washington. They have legislation they want to get passed. They have regulation that they don't want to get passed. They need additional stations that they're allowed to run. All of this runs into billions of dollars. They don't want anybody to muck that up. So their news division, which is a very small part of the large international conglomerate, comes up with a deep digging investigative report, whether it's this one or some other. The corporate entities say, listen, you can't be putting this stuff on. We're asking the White House to do certain things for us. We're asking the powers in Congress to do certain things for us. And they're going to scream bloody murder about this piece. Sure. And that's what happened with us. The whole tradition and history of CBS News was what made it one of the most important news institutions in the world. It had guts. Ed Murrow with McCarthy, leading in civil rights coverage, and there was hell to pay at the time of the civil rights coverage. Vietnam War, very controversial. Widespread criminal conspiracy under the name of Watergate. Point is that this made the corporate entity of the time very uncomfortable, but the ethos of the corporation was news is on its own. There's a firewall between the corporate interest for profit and stockholder value and the news. And we back the people in news. Now, what I wasn't smart enough to pick up on, and if you want to call me dumb, I wouldn't argue with it. I didn't realize
that it was changing.
How the ethos had changed.
Yeah, sure.
The ethos had changed of saying, look, with news, we want a news division that has guts. We want a news division that leads in covering controversial stories. So we back our reporters. In this case, the pressure from Washington came, and the corporation caved.
When did it change, you think? Now that you have perspective and you can look back and go, wow, I should have saw it changing at this time and I just didn't. What year
about?
A very
good question.
Oh, thank you, Dan.
I actually told him to ask that. He wasn't going to ask that. I'm like, yeah, just ask him.
No, it's a particularly good question because, and the answer is, it's hard to tell because it doesn't happen. One day it's in the news is in the public interest, and the next day it's only in the corporate interest. It's hard. as with the start of wars, it's frequently hard to put your finger on a date on the calendar to say, this is when the war started.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, it wasn't a quick overnight decision, but it wasn't a long metamorphosis either. But when I say that I wasn't smart enough to pick up on it, and I should have been, that nobody sent out a memo saying it's changing. Mm-hmm. But when the entertainment division began to have some profit from the news division, 60 Minutes, for example, is a really big cash cow. It's a very important cash cow because the network owns 60 Minutes with other programs, The Good Wife and other things around. Other people own it and they buy it.
Yeah.
But, I simply should have picked up on it earlier. There were signs around that it was changing, but I just wasn't sharp enough to pick up on it. My excuse is, I'm not the vice president in charge of excuses, but my excuse is that I'm a reporter. I'm focused on stories, focused just on a laser beam of the story. Now, with this story, we had problems with the story in the process, as I say, and we made some mistakes. But some of these, the imperfections should not take away from the point that the story was true, and I knew the story was true. I'll give you an example when I say, well, things change in the story. Sources that tell you, yeah, what you have is right. Then big pressure from Washington comes on the source, and the source changes their story. This is fairly common with reporters, but in this case, let's face it, we were putting truth to the most powerful people in the country, and those powerful people have a lot of means to destroy you, and they turned those means on us.
Sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you. As a reporter interviewing people, you've interviewed some amazing people.
Thank you.
And you've done an amazing job doing it. And when the power, like you went to Iraq and you're interviewing a guy like Saddam Hussein. As a dictator, obviously he's an awful guy, but what is he like to you in person?
If you had been in the room, and I was with him for about 2.5 hours the first time I interviewed Saddam Hussein, which was just a few days after what I would call Gulf War I started. The invasion of Iraq later was Gulf War II. And I was there alone. I had no one with me in Baghdad Palace, which was, the pucker factor gets pretty high. But if you had been in the room, I think you would have had the same reaction that I had, inescapable. Number one, you realized you were sitting in a room with a stone-cold killer.
Mm. Oh, really? So he wasn't charming?
No.
Wow.
There's nothing charming about it. That's number one. Number two, you would come to realize after a while what in his DNA, he's one of those people, and in fact, he's the only person I've met with this particular DNA, that if he survived, he wins. Mm. Remember, his life had been one thing after another, been in prison in Egypt. So he had that mindset that all he has to do is survive. You can beat the hell out of him. It's the reason that he told me in the second interview that he won the first Gulf War. And you say, well, wait a minute. You got chased out of Kuwait. No. He said, I'm still in power, and George H.W. Bush is long gone. So that was his mindset. That's number two. Number three, and this will end the list, that he dreamed, when his feet hit the floor every morning, he dreamed of leading a victorious Arab army through the streets of Jerusalem and becoming a modern-day Saladin. That was the driving force in him. So if you had been there, I think that would have been your reactions.
Was there anything you were afraid to ask him? Or, I mean, you guys put yourselves in these positions. Like, I forget who it was that interviewed bin Laden in the cave. And I'm like, in that moment, there's got to be something you want to ask that just the human side of you goes, no, I'm not going to.
Well, and I don't say this altogether offhandedly. I was raised by people who taught me to fear only hurricanes and God. The answer is, and it's an individual answer, and it's location specific. But frankly, in my head, get the picture. I'm alone in Baghdad Palace. I have no producer, no camera crew, nothing. I'm by myself. And I'm thinking only of what questions to ask. You're so hard focused on the job at hand that I can truthfully say on this occasion, certainly it entered my mind, well, you may be lucky to get out of here alive. But the overriding thing was, hey, this is a hell of a story. This is an international scoop, if you will. And if you're a reporter, you dream of those occasions.
Do you think there's anything you shouldn't cover? Like, is there anything that the press should consider the consequences of before they report it, or do you think that should never come into play?
Well, opinions vary on this among reporters. I am of the publish and be damned school, which is, I think, if you start considering the consequences, for example, on the Bush military or lack of military service story, if you go into it saying, wow, if this story is what we think it is, there's going to be hell to pay. We're going to have to face the furnace and take the heat. If you start thinking that way, it begins to affect the integrity of your reporting. Now, in answer to your question, if, for example, in Vietnam, if a military commander, say you're stuck off someplace outside Da Nang, Quang Tri, or one of those places, and a captain or a major comes to you and says, listen, I know you filmed what happened last night in that firefight, but I'm asking you to delay it for 24 hours, and gives you a very solid reason. Then you have to make an on-the-spot, in-the-moment decision. And have I ever said yes to that? Very few times, but yes, I have said yes to that. There are other occasions when the grieving family of someone has been killed, for example, someone's son has been beheaded by ISIS in some remote place, and they make a request. You have the footage, you have the propaganda film. Please don't use it on the evening news. Those are very, very difficult decisions.
I was just going to go back to something you said about the Bush documents. Did you think during that whole reporting of that story that you would be in a lot of trouble to the point where maybe it would cost you your career?
It never occurred to me that it might cost my career.
But you knew they would get
earlier.
But what kind of heat you think you thought you were going to get?
Well, certainly, as my wife once said later, Dan, you took on the president of the United States. What did you expect was going to happen?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking that.
Certainly, we knew we'd catch hell about it.
Right.
But number one, we thought with the history and tradition of CBS News that if we were right, if we got to the truth, not perfectly getting it to it, but if we got to the truth, facts were right, the company would back us. In fact, the corporation had many times before said, look, we were wrong on this story, but we still back our reporters. So with that as history, I feared not. You can say, well, that was a mistake, but I didn't. Mm-hmm. But we certainly expected heat. But what we didn't expect, and we can be faulted for this, and I sometimes fault myself, the world was changing rapidly. It was moving from the television era to the digital era. The Internet, remember this happened in 2004.
Right.
The Internet was just beginning to explore how you could attack someone, you could say something terrible about someone, doesn't have to be truthful, with virtual anonymity. And we underestimated the power of that. Therefore, you said, well, did we expect to catch hell? We expected to catch hell from that, but we had vastly underestimated in our ignorance of the new era, if you will, vastly underestimated the capacity of the power that you were telling the truth about. Had figured this out. Well, when they do something that you don't like, or it's inconvenient or uncomfortable, they figured out that you can use the power of the Internet to change the subject. And this is what we were unprepared for. We should have been prepared for it. We're unprepared for it. So they didn't attack the facts of the story. And by the way, to this day, the facts that I outlined earlier have never been denied by President Bush or anyone close around him. They knew we had the facts straight. They said, okay, where are they vulnerable? So they went to the documents. The documents are only part of the evidence we had. But they said they're vulnerable in the documents because we can start raising the question and just say the documents are forged, which they still to this day, the Wall Street Journal just a few days ago said, well, the documents were exposed as fraudulent. They weren't. That wasn't a fact then. It hasn't been a fact since, and it's not a fact now. Nobody has proven that the documents were not what they were purported to be.
They just weren't authenticated properly. Right?
Well, we think they were. This is where the argument. But my point is, here we are discussing the documents rather than the facts of the story.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's a big part of the movie, though, because for the people that haven't seen the film yet, the documents, they they start thinking, some bloggers, going to the internet think that it was done on a Microsoft Word, which obviously wasn't around in 1973. The typewriters did not have the capability to make this look like that.
That's a very good point.
Right, and that's what is argued in the film, quite brilliantly,
but then
by the way.
all of that later proven the typewriters did exist at the time.
Right.
But here's the point. They were smart enough, if they just keep attacking, they say, well, the typewriters didn't exist at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you days to prove that the typewriter did exist.
Sure.
In the meantime, it's all over the internet. The typewriters didn't exist. Well, the typewriters did exist at the time. So then they get off of that and saying, well, listen, they made a copy on Microsoft Word. It could be changed. In court documents today, sometimes they take Microsoft Word. Here's the point. We knew that what was in the document, the information in the document, was dead on, absolutely correct. But see, they begin to raise these questions, well, in effect saying, that doesn't matter. Well, it matters a lot. But my point is, going back to how this part of the conversation started, we, and by this I mean CBS News and myself and the team, didn't realize the power of the new internet to change the subject. So they changed the subject from, is the story true? Have they reported the truth? To, what about these damn documents? Mm-hmm. Let's raise this question.
They changed the narrative.
This question, and they changed the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And it cost Mary Mapes her job. She was very talented, and she hasn't worked in news since 2004. And
That's true.
And she won some Peabodys.
But what a difference it would have made if the corporate entity, the corporation of Viacom and CBS at that time they were together, had done what had been done for 75 years before, and said, listen, we stand behind your reporters.
Dan, you don't have to tell me. We were in the radio division, and it's a smaller story, obviously. But me and Anthony did a very, edgy show, and we always thought all you had to do was follow the FCC rules, and you were okay. And the company, you would get heat for some of these things you do on the radio, but in the end, the company would back you. And just like you, I didn't realize that the whole atmosphere was changing, and we got caught. And man, did they put us out there by ourselves, and we got fired and all that with huge ratings too. I just assumed there's no way they're going to fire us. We got huge ratings, and there's no FCC violations here with what we're doing. And then next thing you know, everyone turns their head. They don't know you anymore. You're sitting down with the lawyers, and you're like, wait, am I losing my job over this?
Happened to you.
You do. Dan Rather knows this.
I remember
pretty
this
good.
happened.
Yeah.
And it is an echo. And this is the point where someone says, well, what are they talking about early in the morning? I haven't even had my coffee.
There's a lot going on here.
But it matters. It counts.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to be preachy about it. But an independent, fiercely independent when necessary press and free press is the red beating heart of freedom and democracy. And the reason it matters what we're talking about here, it matters how corporations are in close concert with political power. Mm-hmm. It matters because news is no longer viewed by the larger corporations as a public service. I was raised as man and boy at CBS News to believe, listen, a public journal is a public trust. Mm-hmm. CBS News is a public trust. It's operated in the public interest. The corporation is going to make money at other things. Mm-hmm. And Ed Murrow virtually invented electronic journalism, put that ethos into it. Now, as I said before, I could be faulted, perhaps you could be faulted in your own case for not recognizing
that
the
things
world
are changing.
Changes, everything changes. And now, nobody high up in the corporation wants to talk about the public interest. Mm-hmm. That news is not viewed as a public trust. An example would be, if you went to any one of what I would call the mainstream or traditional networks and said, look, we still have people fighting and dying in Afghanistan. We need to do a 1-hour documentary about Afghanistan in prime time where most people see it. I can guarantee you one of two things would happen to you if you proposed that today. Either you would be seen as slightly crazy, or they would accuse you of smoking something very expensive.
I want to ask about, if I can ask out, you're one of the first Americans to see the Zapruder film, which is,
wow.
I know that, you were there when it happened, and you tried to go and get this. It was CBS at the time, right? You were still with them.
Was.
And can you talk about what that was? Because it's one of the most famous things ever shot.
Well, it's been a long time ago, of course, the Kennedy assassination, but you never forget those 4 dark days in Dallas. That we were looking for photographs, and to show you how long ago it was been, we basically were thinking about still photographs, because very few people had home movie cameras at the time. Certainly there were no. So we started looking for photographs. I mean, the hammer to the heart came. The president not only has been shot, but he's dead. So we were looking for photographs, making telephone calls, and we ran across a policeman who said, well, I don't know the guy's name, but I was standing next to a guy who had a movie camera. Boom.
Wow.
Movie camera.
Wow.
Who might that be?
Yeah.
Anyway, we got busy on the phones, and with, yes, some repertorial work and some luck, we found Mr. Zapruder. And I shan't forget that he said over the phone, he said, yes, I think I got the whole thing. Wow. So we helped arrange for him to get the film processed, again, showing you how long ago it's been, that in those days you sent the film off, your home movie film off, and it'd come back 3 or 4 days later, or a week later. But anyway, we helped arrange to get the film processed overnight. And yes, I was he got a lawyer, which was a smart thing for him to do, Mr. Zapruder. And the situation was that he said, I'm going to put this film up in my conference room, just on the wall. You're going to look at it one time and one time only, and then we'll talk about whether you want to buy the film or not. And put it up, and there it was. And I literally, my head kind of went bang. But having seen it, I realized at least I was smart enough to know that I had a story. So I just bolted out of the room, practically took the door off the hinges to go to our feed point, that is the local station, about 3 blocks away, and just sort of shouted, I'll be back, because I wanted to get on the air and describe what I had seen. So from memory, I didn't take notes. From memory, I went back to the studio and twice went through the routine of showing what the film had. Wow. But at the time I got back to Mr. Zapruder's office, and I said, well, we're prepared now to talk about maybe buying the film. I had talked to my superiors in New York, and they said, well, what do you think? Start with $10,000 and go up to $12,000, and if that doesn't do it, call us. But when I got back, the lawyer said, Time Life has bought the film. I said, what do you mean they bought the film? I said, well, I'm coming back. He said, well, they made a preemptive bid. It turned out that they said that they had given $50,000 for it, I think, but I think they gave a whole lot more than that.
Wow.
But
we heard 150,000.
150 is what, yeah. But I could be. I read that you guys were going to prepare to offer 50, and then Time came with 150. But
well, actually, our initial offer, I was told to say 10 and go as far as 12.
Wow. Did your producer? This is an urban legend.
Oh my goodness!
Or did your producer really suggest that you punch Zapruder and take the film and then have it copied?
No, it's a myth.
It is a myth. Okay,
it's a myth.
I read that.
It's a nice myth, and for some years, that particular producer and others at the company, number one, the producer swore that it had happened. But as we would say in Texas, some guys laugh. But nonetheless, it was proposed, saying, well, look, it's a nice myth, so why don't we just live with the myth? But if you're a news organization, you should try hard not to live with myths. But that never happened.
Was there other rumors of other films that were made that day?
Was there
weren't there rumors there were other footage of that day? Did you hear those rumors as you were investigating? There have always
been rumors that there was other footage of the day of that day.
Well, there are some other films of it.
There were some other people who had home movie cameras.
Yeah.
And there's snippets, but nobody that I know of. If you know a lead on it, call me collect.
Yeah.
No, I don't joke, because there may be somebody out there.
That's what I mean, of
in
the actual
attic somewhere. Got it. But we spent weeks, and I do mean weeks, after the assassination, looking for other film footage. Couldn't find it, and I helped to lead 3-4 later investigations of the assassination, trying to say, well, was there a conspiracy or wasn't it a conspiracy? But in the process of doing that, we did it in 1964, we did it again in 1978, again in 1982. Point is, we ran every lead we could find. Was there another Zapruder-type film.
Sure.
I never found one.
How frustrated. Do you ever see the one, there's a woman, I think she was in the book depository, either right above or right below Oswald, but it was her husband's video camera, and she didn't really know how to operate it. So she was from the vantage point of Oswald, and when the shooting started, she turned the camera the wrong way. It's in the trees. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. Everything's happening, and she caught none of it.
Yeah, she was just below.
Oh, she was right below him, right?
They're yelling, will you focus on what's going on?
Yeah, you're filming the trees, miss.
What do you think happened that day? Do you think it was Oswald and that's it?
I do.
You do?
That based on the evidence, and having said I do, keep in mind that it would have been a tremendous story if we, in our CBS News investigations, could have proven that it wasn't Oswald or other people. But quite the contrary, the more the years go by, the more the evidence dictates. Number one, Oswald was a shooter. I consider that a fact, that he was a shooter. Number two, very high probability he was the only shooter. And you've asked me what I believe. I think Oswald was the shooter. I don't think there was another shooter there that day. I don't think that there were other people with guns part of his plan. I don't think that exists. Now, the more difficult area as well is, if that's true, since you believe that's true, what about a conspiracy? Did anybody else help him do that? Again, I think the answer is no.
Wow.
Because after all these years, this much we know about conspiracies. Conspiracies are very hard to keep. I served my apprenticeship as a young girl reporter on the police beat, and any cop will tell you, somebody eventually whispers to their girlfriend, tells the priest or the rabbi, somebody tells, we're now dealing with, more than 50 years after the assassination, and nobody has ever come up with solid evidence. But in that area, I think people, your grandchildren and mine, will be discussing, well, did anybody else help him?
Yeah, sure.
I put that in the category, I don't think so, but I'm open-minded. If somebody comes along with solid evidence or eye and ear witness testimony, I'm open to it. But, the theories center on, there are a lot of people had motive. So one of the things you look for is motive. The Russians had a motive, the Cubans had a motive, the mafia had a motive. A lot of people had motives. But I think Oswald was a shooter. He was the only shooter, and I don't think there was a conspiracy.
All right. I got to ask you about Brian Williams when all that went down. Okay. Can you relate to that in a weird way, or where's your head at with what Brian happened to Brian Williams?
And, whole cards out here that Brian's a friend of mine. He worked at WCBS before he went long ago. And I know him as a friend of mine, so I'm probably a bad person to ask about it. That Brian is a really good person. I've competed with him on battlefields long since forgotten. Good reporter. I don't know, I've never known all of the facts involved in this thing. But it's, I regret that it happened. I'm glad he's back on the air because he is a good guy.
Yeah. Do you think he should be back on the air? And if as a news person, if there's such an obvious conflict in what you said and what happened, does that not compromise everything that you're doing? At least, you came out and apologized on the air for the inaccuracies in the story, which I think makes it a stronger case that you can be trusted. Right. Because you said, I'm sorry, we got something wrong, or this wasn't. And you apologized.
Yeah, the source turned on us.
But I think that's different than what he did. Doesn't that kind of compromise his ability to get us to trust him?
Well, I don't like to punt, but in this case, I think I am, because I am a friend of his.
Right.
You raise a good point, and
I don't like to punt.
Let the record show I stutter. Let the record show that I stutter.
Dan Rather stuttered on our show.
I stumped Dan Rather.
Stumbled over it.
We want to block that punt, sir.
There's also...
What didn't happen at NBC, they ran an internal investigation with their own people, unlike our case with the Bush story, in which and I'll go ahead and say it, phony, quote, independent, unquote, panel was put together not to determine whether our story was accurate or not. By the way, the news division president at the time said, he told the corporate headquarters, this is on the Bush story, the story is accurate. He had a but behind that, but, we're having some trouble with the evidence. But in this case, in the Bush case, the, quote, independent, unquote, panel, its whole findings were made public. In the NBC case with Brian Williams, they ran their own internal investigation, but they never made that public. So if you read that, and if that were available and we could read that in full, you might find that it wouldn't be stuttering. I could give you a straight answer rather than ducking and dodging.
Sure. Do you think that, too, there's always been talks about like liberal bias in the media, and I felt that there has been. And Andy Rudy said one time in his book, he said, and he wasn't saying this to be, he said the media is transparently liberal. And he's saying that as a liberal, and he goes, and I think that's okay. He wasn't saying that to attack the media. Do you feel that's accurate, or do you feel that that's just a fallacy?
No, I don't. And I did talk to the late Andy Rooney about this from time to time, and I think it's fair to say that in a gentlemanly way, we just agreed to disagree about it. I think this is a false argument, and it's based on my own experience, which is the only I can call on. What is liberal? If you ask me where I stand on a specific issue, I'll be happy to tell you, and then you can judge whether you think my reporting. For example, I believe in clean water, strong defense, and tight money. That's on those issues, which are big issues.
What is tight money? I know what that is, but they probably don't.
Well, it means that money is not easy to come by on loans. Which right now, money is 1%, 1.5%, somewhere in there. Tight money is designed to guard against inflation. I'm not an economist, so we can get in trouble. You'll get phone calls after this.
Yeah.
But my fear is always inflation. I've been in countries, Brazil, and any number of other countries where inflation takes a go. Back to your point. I don't know what that makes me, having told you where I stand on the issues. What is liberal? But I smile when people say, well, Dan Rather's a left-wing, Northeast elite liberal. Look at the record, and I'm not playing humble beginnings here. I'm the son of a dish digger and a waitress. I never saw the inside of anything other than a public school, including college, where I went to Sam Houston State Teachers College, a small teachers college. Volunteered for the Marines during the Korean War. I have one of the shortest and least distinguished records in the whole history of the Marine Corps, but I volunteered to go. My suggestion here is that this is not the profile that is so often associated with, quote, a liberal. Now, I do think that what happens, and I don't speak for Andy Rooney because he's no longer with us, but he agreed, that what happens with reporters, particularly after you get some experience, reporters see the underside of life, if they're any good. They see the Dickensian side of life. A reporter knows what the police station, what goes on in the police station after midnight. A reporter knows what the emergency room in a charity hospital looks like. So seeing that, there is, and if you want to call me guilty, I'm guilty of it, there is, in experienced reporters, the feeling of the underside of society. Most people don't know about it, and there's a tendency to have compassion for the poor in perhaps to a greater degree than a lot of people. Now, but back to your question. It's also true that reporters and news institutions, if they're any good at all, they're worthy of the name of a journalist, they take on tough issues. For example, I mentioned before, Murrow with McCarthy. The right side of the political spectrum didn't like the fact that Murrow took on McCarthy. Then you go to civil rights, where CBS was a leader in covering the early stages of the civil rights movement, when affiliated stations in the South called us the Communist Broadcasting Network, the Colored Broadcasting Network, and reporters were in real peril covering that. My point is that it was so controversial at the time that, again, many people who at that time who called themselves conservatives said, look at this liberal network. This liberal network, it had to do with the split in race relations at the time. So you go through that history, and it's not surprising people would call you liberal. But I don't argue with anyone. I just say, look at the reporting and judge for yourself whether you think this person is biased. Now, I can hear some people in the audience saying, well, Dan Rather, I watched what you did and I heard what you did, and I think you're liberal to the core. And my answer to that is, well, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm a great believer you are what your record is. And I'm in an age and stage of life, I have a record. Mm-hmm. It's far from perfect. But I'm quite content to have somebody look at the record, look at the whole record, and decide for themselves.
They're telling us we have to wrap
I
up.
know,
I wanted one more question I wanted to ask you. Of all the presidents you've interviewed or all the times you've talked to the presidents, what instance do you think someone was being the least honest with you?
Richard Nixon, without question. I hoped against hope that the story that became Watergate wasn't true when we first started working on it. That I was a White House correspondent for 10 years, broken up some by time in Vietnam and other places. I never walked through the gates that I didn't feel really honored to be there representing CBS News and being a reporter. You never met anybody who had more respect for the office of the presidency of the United States than I do. So I was slow to believe. I was skeptical. And when first facts started coming out, I'd say, well, this was at a low level. It wouldn't reach. But when it became obvious that the president not only knew about, but was engaged in fact, led, it still sticks in my throat a little bit to say it, he led a widespread criminal conspiracy over a long period of time. And so you eventually got to the point when you would interview him either on camera or more often in a news conference. You would say, what he is saying does not match the facts. And so for that reason, among others, I would say, in answer to your question, definitely Richard Nixon.
Thank you. Fantastic. We could talk to you for another hour easily. This movie, Truth, is terrific.
It was great, right?
It was amazing, and it cost you your career. You weren't ready to step down in 2005, that's for sure. And then you sued CBS, and they threw the case out of court. Why? What was their reasoning?
Well, we did well in the lower court.
Yeah.
And when it got to appeals court, they basically said that we didn't. This is a paraphrase. And again, you'll get calls from lawyers, but they didn't deal on the merits of the case of what we'd proven and what we hadn't proven. It was basically, you don't have status. Whatever you proved, they had a right to do with you whatever they wanted to do. Our goal was to get the case to a jury. But I will say about the court case, we lost. And, when you lose, you have to recognize we lost in court. But some things are worth fighting for, even if you lose. And we did find out so many things. I went to the lawsuit for two reasons, having been told you'll probably lose in the beginning. And for two reasons. One, I wanted to know what happened, what really happened inside. And there were some eye-popping things that we found out. For example, I had no idea that the lobbyists for the corporation were working and influencing, talking regularly with the president of the news division. Stop. Nobody wants corporate lobbyists meddling in the newsroom. Whether you're liberal, conservative, mugwump, or what have you, nobody really wants that to happen.
Of course.
So it's that sort of thing we found out in the lawsuit. And we found out also that the president of the news division was telling the corporate industry, this story is accurate, the story is true. Yes, we have trouble with the evidence, but don't forget the story is true. Answer back from the corporation, that doesn't matter. What an answer. That doesn't matter whether the story is true or not. Put an exclamation point. So we found out some of those things in the lawsuit.
And the last question, is it true you can't walk in CBS to this day?
I'm sorry?
You can't walk into the CBS news division to this day?
No.
That's unbelievable to me. We grew up with you every night. You were CBS.
I appreciate that. But, I do want to emphasize, how long ago I made my peace with what happened at CBS.
But you can't go into Black Rock. They'll stop you downstairs in the lobby?
Yes.
Oh, my God. I laugh at that because it's ridiculous.
On my better days, I can laugh at it as well.
Okay, that's just
but
ridiculous.
I think more importantly, and I don't know we're at the end here, and one reason I went to the lawsuit, even though we lost it, is that's one thing to say, listen, you're not welcome here. It's another thing to say, we're going to expunge you from our history.
Yes, I read that this morning.
And it's a little like the Soviets used to do when somebody fell from grace to the Communist Party. They airbrush you out of the pictures. So the effort to say, we're going to pretend you never worked here. Having said, you are what your record is. I wanted to get the evidence of my record. I think for a news operation, that's pretty serious to say. Of course. We're not going to be honest with you about our history. I would gently suggest that's fairly serious.
Of course it is. With that, I think we got to get you
Yes,
out of here.
Truth is in theaters nationwide today. It's great.
That's a wonderful movie.
It's a very easy
Robert
movie to
Redford
promote.
plays you beautifully.
And you're Dan Rather on Twitter and Facebook.com, the Dan Rather. But the movie was really fantastic, and I thought it was very fair, and it was really well done.
Thank you.
And you're still doing it to this day. You're on Axis, right?
I am. When I said I'd moved on, it's been
A long
almost 11
time.
years ago.
Yeah.
I do programs for Mark Cuban, entrepreneur.
Love Mark Cuban. I would love to get involved with Mark Cuban.
I've landed on the other planet of digital internet world. I'm working with an outfit called Mashable. It's an internet site.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to me. It's challenging. They speak a language that I don't speak. They may as well be speaking Swahili or High Norse some days, but I'm learning. And, as long as I have my health, I want to be doing news. I have a passion for it, and I'm happy to say I'm working full-time and then some now.
You look great. Dan Rather,
Great to have me on this morning.
Thank you,
This
Dan,
was a
very
pleasure.
much.
Thank you so much.
An
I really
absolute
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll continue with Mark Normand and Will Forte's on the way, and the guy from Scrub Daddy. Well, that's what we're doing next. Stay there.
Now we're back. Okay. Opie's drinking some water, choking to death. What a delight Dan Rather was.
I'm trying to get to the hook here.
Really?
What's the
Really?
frequency, Kenneth?
Really pleasant guy. I enjoyed him a great deal.
Hold on. Sorry, buddy.
What's that?
Oh, I said real mic hog.
Yeah, they tend to do that.
He knows how to talk.
Yeah, I totally choked. He's terrifying. He's so...
Really?
Oh, my God. I was panicking.
Were you really?
Oh, what are you kidding? This old guy, accomplished,
83.
83. I'm in a Hawaiian shirt. I'm hungover. I'm drinking a Bloody Mary here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Are you really?
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to get through it. But, geez, that was tough.
I thought he was great. Yeah.
He was great, but good Lord.
He was fascinating. We could talk to him for another hour easily.
That's a Pruder film thing, man. He's one of the first people in the world to see that.
Right.
I just
That's
saw
crazy.
it the next day, the day it was developed. Mm-hmm. It's just a fascinating piece of fucking American history.
He kind of helped develop the film. Not kind of. They made sure they got that film developed overnight.
And
And
that
we
was
didn't even get to talk to him about What's the Frequency, Kenneth.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's
I
why
forgot.
we came back with that damn song. In 86, he got the shit beat out of him. And a guy just kept saying over and over again, what's the frequency, Kenneth?
Huh.
And it was the weirdest story ever, and it was just out there, and then R.E.M. writes that song about it.
Oh, wow.
And then people didn't believe Dan Rather that it even happened, and then in 97, 11 years later, they finally proved that he got beat up by this guy.
What?
Really strange.
Yeah.
It's a very strange story. We did. I wanted to ask him about that, but we ran out of time, so.
Yeah,
He was terrific.
I love that he punted.
That was hilarious.
But he admitted he was punting because they're friends. Like, he didn't try to, circumvent it. He goes, I don't like to punt. Like, I kind of, all right.
He knows-
Yeah. He's buddies with the guys, so.
Right.
He knows it hurts his credibility.
Sure.
He knows that.
Of course. Well, when a tough reporter asks another tough reporter a question, I find that once in a while we'll stump each other, and that's just how it is. A couple of men of similar ilk
Right.
discussing issues.
You guys were great. I mean, the suspenders, they don't throw you? I was just nervous.
We're used to that
newsman
from Larry
suspenders.
King.
Oh, Larry King, right.
Larry King's a goofball in the end.
Right.
He made me very nervous the first time he was in, and now it's just, it's Larry.
Yeah.
You don't want to pull those suspenders
Right.
and make him snap back.
Get me Tom Brokaw. He's next.
Yeah.
Run over him. Run roughshod over this show.
And, I expect when they fire radio guys that they're not allowed back in the building, but finding out that Dan Rather's not allowed back in CBS.
Those twats.
This guy did everything.
Right.
He was part of our lives forever and reported on some incredibly important events, obviously.
Yeah, imagine-
World history, and now he's not even allowed. If he walked in the lobby, they would escort him out the door. An 83-year-old man that gave his fucking his soul to that place.
Yeah. Risked his life. He sat in Saddam's palace.
Exactly.
Twice.
That's how we should, in Vietnam and everywhere like he went.
He told me a good story outside, too. We were talking. So I told him I performed in Saddam's palace, and he goes, he's like, it's a quick story. He's like, after that interview, Saddam said to me, I want to show you around the palace. And he's like, I didn't want to see the goddamn palace. He did use the GD word.
Oh, boy.
And he said, the PR guy for Saddam, he said, in Arab culture, people hold hands. And they were trying to get me to hold Saddam's hand, which is very common there, as we walk around, and he goes, and I'm walking with my hands behind my back because all I could see is the front page of the New York Times is me and Saddam Hussein holding hands.
Oh, wow.
So he had to, like me, I would love a hand-holding picture with Saddam. I would have put my hand out and hope he touched it.
I would want to know how that hand feels. I think I would have went for the hold.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
so.
I was surprised that he said an icy killer. Like, usually those guys can be very charming. And I would, watching the interview, Saddam seemed very reasonable to me. Like, I'm like, oh, he's a smooth fucker. But rather just being alone, I guess it didn't feel the same.
Right.
This movie's going to do very well in the theaters. It's called Truth. It's Robert Redford playing Rather, and that Kate Blanchett.
I understand we have some audio. We should.
Yeah, we got to do the Jared audio before we get the Scrub Daddy guy in. This Aaron Krause, he's the inventor of Scrub Daddy, one of the most successful items ever debuted on Shark Tank. He'll tell the story quickly. And he has a new product, and supposedly he's going to debut it on our show, but I think it's bullshit. I bet you it's already out there, but we'll see.
I don't know. It might not be.
It'll be just fun to talk to.
It's called a Scrub Mother.
Travis read about it this morning.
Scrub
great.
Daddy,
All
Scrub
right.
Mother.
Roland was telling me, no, he's going to debut this new item on your show.
Maybe no one's seen it yet.
And Travis said he read about it this morning.
That's true. I have not seen it.
Thank you, Travis. I always make good points.
You're
a
a journalist. Yeah.
They didn't have a picture in the article?
No,
of the
they
new?
didn't.
No, they didn't.
Maybe
just
we
a
get to see it for the first
It's
time.
my investigative thinking.
Yeah, but this is a radio show, so no one else is going to see it either.
Look, it's a stupid bell. Tell him to go home. We're too busy for his invention. Jared Fogle, yes, the subway guy. There was rumors there was audio about him abusing children, and now the audio is absolutely out there, and we're going to hear it for the first time here on our show.
Can't wait.
What did he do? At Dr. Phil or something?
He did Dr. Phil. Some of it aired Thursday. The rest are going to air today.
Okay.
And,
that's good. Tease the audio of the child molester or of the guy who likes kiddie porn. Boy, I guess don't fucking do a Caitlyn Jenner joke on TV. Mm-hmm. And, boy, don't drop an F-bomb. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to spend days teasing the audio of a guy who likes to watch children get fucked. What a creepy fucking motherfucker Dr. Phil is.
I never liked Dr. Phil.
Well, it is
his creepy mustache.
It is sweeps. So he really.
I get it. But
I know you guys are in the TV business.
No.
but-
I mean, like,
Sweet. What, he got brooms or something? Dad, you piece of garbage.
Dr. Phil looks like if Kenny went bald.
Yeah, Dr. Fool.
I know they got to do bullshit for sweeps, but then they'll make believe that it's bad to do a Caitlyn Jenner joke, like Jimmy pointed out. That's the hypocrisy is what we're pointing out.
Right. Yeah,
give me a fucking break.
I'm glad that there's. I don't saying they shouldn't play it because hey, look, he was a very famous pitchman, and he's a fucking a pedo, or he's into pedo shit. Okay, that's news, but don't tease it like that. Just play it, you fucking dirtbag.
You ghoul.
I will.
All right, let's play it. Jared Fogle's secret audio tapes exposed on
Same
Dr.
recording,
Phil.
Jared flips very quickly from phone sex mode to a very matter-of-fact approach on how to lure
Who's he
children.
talking to here?
This reporter, I think. Reporter, I believe, right?
That's the reporter who kind of broke this whole thing.
Blabbermouth, that's who that is.
All right.
Goddamn fat-faced lady.
Trust so they can be abused. How to gain their trust so you can violate the trust.
Oh, he's going to give tips.
Let's listen to that.
Now I want to know what turns you on the most, like the young girls or the young boys?
Both of them do.
They do. How do they?
Both of them.
See, could you pause? Here's the problem. He's being very fair. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Sure, you don't want to be sexist. She don't like him because he ain't sexist. They're equally tight.
Can you explain? I really want to know.
Can you see? Can you just see one of these before you possibility for us?
Why is he openly talking about this? Why would you do this?
Because he trusted her. It was phone sex.
With her?
Yeah.
So he was having phone sex with her, but she's a reporter?
Well, yeah, he began, So
the reporter had to have the phone set? That's what I'm trying to say.
They met on a shoot of something.
Right.
He made a comment that creeped her out.
Right.
And I forget how they kind of began to know each other, but I think she knew something, and she was fishing, and she was recording him. So she actually did a good thing.
But what about the phone sex part? Did she
as they got to know each other, I think he trusted her. And I'm guessing, when you're talking about stuff this fucked up, you're trying to find someone who will let you jerk off to it or talk about it.
Yeah.
So I guess he thought he found that in her.
And I think
Gotcha. Okay.
she has kids, and I think he was interested in like the kids' friends.
Okay.
Wow.
Fuck this Jared Fogle. Fuck him. Okay.
Yeah.
Would that turn you on?
Well, how would that happen? How would that happen?
Well, if we get them segregated out, and that's the thing, we're just the three of us, and we just sort of start talking or whatever, and we start just sharing stories, and then, we get a little closer and a little closer and a little closer, and before you know it, it's...
Because you pause, that fucking Dr. Phil should fucking fall into an elevator shaft. As they're showing a picture of Jared's face, they show a swing set going back and forth in the background.
A sad swing set because the kid's not on it because he's being raped somewhere. It's basically what Dr. Phil is trying to show with this.
I know. I didn't know what I thought they were swinging that back and forth, saying, "Come on, put your face in the swings." You ever do that and breathe deep? Sure, you have.
This just starts to happen.
So it's not that hard to do?
No, not at all.
Huh.
Really?
Wow.
Okay.
Does that turn you on?
Yes, I'm intrigued.
Yes, I'm intrigued.
Very much.
Robot
I'd like
voice.
to know.
She's a sexy voice.
Yeah.
Sexy voice for that.
But Dr. Phil, I mean, this is a huge exclusive. This audio is unbelievable, and then he has to do the swing thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Who's the guy who films that swing? That's the real
Right.
Yeah.
We don't got it quite right yet.
Yeah.
Listen,
Let's get a
B-roll
few
of the
more
swing, but make it slow.
Yeah.
No, I think it should be slower.
Right.
Yeah, black and white too, to make it sad, like there was a kid, but the kid's hiney's being violated. We'll say it over the. All right.
Christ.
I'd like to know.
I think it would be amazing.
Yeah.
It would be so much fun for us, for you and I.
Is there any kind of personality to look for?
I think it's just going to depend on the situation. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think that girl from the broken home could be a possibility.
Fuck this guy.
Oh, man.
Why? He's very
Fuck
practical. He makes good points.
The woman first met Fogle in 2006 when he was a guest on her local Florida radio show.
Yes.
She immediately became concerned when he mentioned that he found middle school girls attractive. She says following her journalistic instincts, she started a friendship with Fogle to dig deeper. She claims he continued to make comments about his sexual interest in children. She says she then contacted the FBI and spent 5 years, quote, role-playing and recording her conversations with Fogle.
What a piece of shit. What's left
Yeah,
of this
she
audio?
sure is. How could she do that?
I definitely think that. And, just show some affection.
Wow.
And look, they're showing her crying, too, because she probably knows she shouldn't have tattled. She feels guilty.
We could have used an eat fresh at the end. Just cap it off with a
This
little
is no
Subway.
place for jokes. This is sexy talk time. You're making me go limp.
Sorry, Jimmy.
Your adult voice. Who?
Oh, sorry.
Fuck. That's just fucking disturbing.
I know they don't play all of it. How you supposed to come till they play all the audio? I get close, and then they go to commercial. Ooh, Phil, you.
Too bad Dan Rather left.
Yeah, he knows. Damn Dr. Phil gets you all lathered up.
Dr. Phil could walk into CBS.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Danny can't.
Wait a minute. Is this special what I thought it was? It was Dr. Phil exposing people who record you illegally. Dr. Phil exposing blabbermouths and ladies who are not good friends.
It's not really what the story is.
Sure it is. And how nice people get recorded.
It's about the other people that are doing the.
Shut up.
Go to the headline on that. So the next tape is going to be Jared Fogle tapes ex-Subway pitchman allegedly wanted to fly to Thailand for child sex fantasies.
Yeah.
What a delight.
Well, we was talking, and he said business class was too expensive. I said, you're telling me. Oh, you got a little asthma over there. I hear you.
A little asthma.
Yeah, I understand. This story gets everybody breathing heavy. Justin's over there asthma spraying. Hard to breathe, isn't it? All the blood rushing to your pud. I understand.
To my pud.
Don't repeat my lines.
I'm sorry.
Shut up.
It is especially disgusting to hear Jared Fogle say, does that turn you on?
Right.
Yeah, it's so obvious. Of course it does. What an obvious question.
Is he in jail?
I don't know where the
He just paid everybody back.
Yeah, he just paid like $1 million.
Wow.
To be split up 10 ways.
Yeah.
That's what it costs.
Yeah, I don't think he's in jail yet.
He's going now.
How much time did he get for this crap?
I don't recall.
They haven't said, I don't know.
Man,
It's going to be at least 5 years.
How
That's
do you know?
the minimum.
Oh.
I know. He told me.
We should all take a minute to be thankful we're not pedophiles. It's got to suck to be into kids.
Why don't you stop
You can't help it,
judging everyone?
That would be a rough one.
Yeah.
That'd be a rough one.
What a bummer.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Each victim got $100,000.
Right.
Yeah, that'll fix
There
it.
you
Yeah.
go.
Why only 11 out of the 14? That's what I want to know. 11
Maybe-
of his
maybe
14
there's a
victims in advance of his
payment plan.
sentencing next month on federal charge of child porn and having sex with minors. 3 didn't get any.
I think he just
Their
hasn't
stories
paid it
weren't
yet.
good enough.
Yeah, they
Or,
couldn't-
okay. Or he's trying to find more money.
I think that's it.
All right, let's get this Aaron Krause in here from Scrub Daddy.
right.
Boy, that was a fun segment.
Yeah, tough segment to
Could have
follow.
done that for hours. Boy, we should still be doing that one. Ugh, talking to myself in this room.
You're going to have to snap out of it in a minute.
Not gonna happen. Oh, look at you.
Oh, somebody brought gifts.
How are
Bearing
you?
gifts.
Bearing gifts.
Scrub
Aaron
Daddy.
Krause.
Thank you. It's a lovely gift.
You
Hope
can
this
imagine-
is the
you can
rest
imagine
of
what
the
that
Fogle audio.
I know what you're like.
You smell good.
You, I don't know why we're involved with you. It's really strange.
Well, I heard you guys talking about me one day.
Is that a long sleeve Scrub Daddy shirt?
Oh, see, I knew he immediately goes right for the shirt.
Jimmy
I like
loves
it.
your Scrub Daddy shirts.
I wear them all the time. I wear them.
Should I just take it off and give it to him now?
No, because you're a bigger size than me. I'm a smaller boy.
No, I don't want to see you shirtless.
No,
Take
you
the
don't.
shirt off.
Might want to shave your chest down a little bit.
I'm wearing my winter
Well,
sweater.
thank you very much.
Oh my God! So I don't know. We mentioned Scrub Daddy because of Shark Tank, and next thing you know, we're kind of stuck with you. You started sending us products and shirts and hats, and
We love
I
it.
got Scrub Daddies all over my apartment. I've been giving them to my in-laws because you gave me so many, hundreds and hundreds of them.
And what are they saying about it?
They love them. I mean, but a couple would have been nice, but
No, well, I heard you guys talking about it the first time, and it wasn't the nicest, most loving words about a sponge. So I said, okay, I got to convert these guys. Everyone's got to learn about the smiley
Well,
face.
we honestly thought it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because you went on Shark Tank with this sponge idea, right?
Yeah.
And it became the number one invention, or whatever you want to call
It
it,
is
product.
actually the most successful item ever in all 7 seasons of the ABC hit show Shark Tank.
Wow.
And we're closing in on about $75 million in sales.
$75 million.
Yeah.
And what were you doing before?
Well,
before Shark Tank, obviously the product was out there, but it wasn't getting any traction, right?
Yeah, the product was actually invented as a hand scrubber for dirty hands. I'm an inventor by nature, so I'm always tinkering and coming up with new ideas and new inventions.
Yeah.
And one day I came up with this idea to scrub my hands with something that wasn't like a brush. I didn't like the soap that had the rocks in it. And so I started thinking, what other materials might work? I ended up developing this material for scrubbing my dirty hands, but no one seemed to want it in a body shop. They'd rather go home with dirty hands.
Yeah.
So I kind of shelved the project. And it took about 5 years later, my wife was complaining that the lawn furniture needed to be cleaned. And I started using a typical sponge and scratched the furniture. And I thought, oh man, what am I going to use that wouldn't scratch it? Then I remembered those sponges that I made for scrubbing my hands, went home, started using them, and I brought them to the sink and saw that they had this texture changing property, started doing my dishes with it, And it was like the clouds opened up. I knew that we had missed the boat. This had nothing to do with scrubbing my hands. It was the best kitchen scrubbing tool. And that started an entire world of how do I market this thing into that universe. I ended up getting on QVC.
Right.
And that changed my life. Once I got some like live airtime on national television. And I don't know, QVC is like this. It's live. It's impromptu. There's no script. You don't know what's going to happen. And so you got to be on your toes. And that kind of got me ready for primetime TV on Shark Tank.
And now you're bloody rich.
Well, I don't know about that.
You're bloody rich.
We're growing the business, I can tell you that.
You're bloody rich.
You have very soft T-shirts. Thank you for the T-shirts. You get some Scrub Daddy stuff, but the T-shirts, they're very comfy. I literally wear them if they say that. Scrub Daddy, people kind of like because they don't know exactly. Some know what it is, some don't, but they love the idea of that being on a shirt. So you can kind of wear that. And it's just so soft, and girls love to touch me when I'm in that shirt.
Why don't they do that to me?
And the reason why...
If you're a married man, they probably understand that I'm available.
The reason why everyone loves Shark Tank... The reason everyone loves Shark Tank is because everyone feels like they could come up with some invention
and be a millionaire,
and become a millionaire like that. And it did happen to you. It doesn't happen to anybody else.
No, it doesn't.
But everyone still feels like they could come up with that one thing that's going to get them financial freedom.
I think it does happen. I think the show is like a phenomenon. Like you go on there, and I think even some of the ideas that don't get investments, they get so much publicity, and really the audience that you're really playing to is the public.
Right.
So if you go in there and you do a great job and you're humble, you don't go in there and look like an ass, and you know your numbers and you know what you're trying to do, you can convince the public to back you.
Now, you're an inventor by nature, you said.
Yeah, that's what I do.
What's the one thing you went, oh man, what was I thinking? What a dumb idea. What a bust this was. Because it's a numbers game. You're inventing a whole bunch of stuff, and
there's a couple of them. When I was my previous life, I was manufacturing buffing pads for cars and boats and planes, and they made them out of wool and they made them out of urethane foam, which is how I got enough experience to make Scrub Daddy. And one day I got this crazy idea to blend them together and have like this hairy, foamy thing, and so I tried to make that product, and that was a bust. No one wanted to see a piece of foam that was growing, pubic hair out of it.
Did you commit to the point where you lost a lot of money on it?
Yeah, I probably lost, $20,000-$30,000 on it.
Wow.
But my next one, which I'm here to show you guys.
Oh, really fast. Does Shark Tank I know why you're here, but does Shark Tank get a taste of Scrub Daddy? How did it work out for you? Did they sign you?
Well, the show doesn't really get anything. The show is they just put you on.
Right.
But the investors invest their own money and their own risk. So
did they end up investing on?
Yeah. So the girl from QVC, her name is Lori Grenier.
Sure.
She's actually my business partner.
Okay. Wow. She's
and I talk to her on a regular basis and saw her yesterday. And
did she take a giant piece?
Well, they don't call it Shark Tank. It's like a guppy tank.
Took a giant
the Shark Tank.
They took a giant bite.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Then again, they made it famous too. I mean, it's one of those things. It's a catch-22 because it sucks to give away a piece of your company.
Mm-hmm.
But if your company grows 150-fold,
right,
it's probably worth it.
Well, the question is, how long would it take you to do that on your own?
And would it ever happen on your own?
And would it ever happen on your own?
Because there's a million products, but when it's being hawked by someone they don't know, but when it's on a show and everyone sees it at the same time, then they all start talking. It probably is worth it.
Yeah. Oh, for me,
75 million. I mean,
for me, there's no doubt it's worth it. It was worth every second of it.
So your next invention, you feel good about this? Huh?
We're so excited about this one. This one takes me out of the realm of like simple ideas to high technology.
Yeah.
And so, as an inventor, I'm traveling all the time, and like my biggest pet peeve is my cell phone running out of battery. Mm-hmm. So I use this as my GPS, as literally as everything.
We know that.
And one day I lost a really important call for everything. And, I started thinking to myself, I don't want to carry around these bulky battery chargers with me anymore. I already carry a wallet, phone, and keys. So where could I put charging technology on my body? And then it occurred to me that I wear a belt every day. And would it be possible to put it in your belt? And so here you can see the buckle is USB.
Whoa.
The end of it is USB. And I'm literally walking around here with 2 days of charge on my belt.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty good.
Odd question though, because everyone's so afraid of I'm always afraid of keeping my cell phone in my pocket, even though I do.
Yeah.
Because you're more afraid of ball cancer. Like, is there any kind of a danger with having a charge around your waist like that?
No, not really. A cell phone transmits and receives, and that's what they are always talking about, the radiation, because it's actually sending and receiving data and radio waves all the time. This is just batteries that are going through wires that actually put it directly into your phone. So I would say it's the same, amount of radiation as a child's toy or anything that, has lights on it or flashes. So there's really nothing. It's so minuscule that you've got more issues with, anything like a device like a cell phone that you're carrying around.
It's a cool looking belt too. So you charge up the belt, obviously.
Yeah. So the buckle is USB, right? So you plug the buckle into your wall,
right?
And then you'd plug Then you'd plug the end of your cord here.
So you can actually charge your phone while it's in your pocket walking around. God damn it.
Correct.
That's not bad.
I had a very similar invention, but it was in the form of a cowboy hat. And nobody wanted it. That's great. It's charging.
And it's definitely 2 days of power?
Yeah, so I guess it depends on what phone it is, because it won't charge just your phone. It will charge any USB device. So we're talking about cell phones, cameras, electronic cigarettes. Last night when we checked into the hotel for the show, I was showing it to the people behind the counter, and the girl was checking me and said, "Could that charge a personal massager?" And I was like,
"Ooh,
if it's USB, I guess it could."
Wow, you know what she wants to do?
Yes.
She wanted to get her fingers in that hairy chest of yours.
Is it shaped like a fist, Mist? Show me.
My wife will love that one.
Obviously, you got the patent on that.
We do. We just got the patent on it about a month ago, and today we're actually going live on Kickstarter. So we're launching this as a crowdfunding campaign. So if anyone goes to Kickstarter.com, Ion Tech Belt. Mm-hmm. That's the name of the product. And we're looking to get funding, but what we're really looking for is for validation from the public that this is something people want.
That's amazing.
That's a great idea.
And that they're willing to pay for it. And
why wouldn't they want this? I mean, you literally could plug it in while you're walking around to the belt and charge your phone.
I don't know why anyone wouldn't be jumping all over this, but the price point is to probably end up at about $130 for each one, right? So it's not, it's relatively, like if you go for a really nice belt, I see but a really nice leather belt. What are you going to pay for that?
Oh, geez. I'm a thrift store. I'm wearing a extension cord right now.
He doesn't wear belts on his pants. He only puts them around his neck when he's jerking off.
Here, put this one around your neck. I'll get a shocking experience.
That's all right.
The other thing is, to make this product, there's so many different iterations of it. You can have brown, you can have black, you can have with or without white stitching, you can have different sizes, like there's 3 or 4 different sizes. So I can't afford to take the guess on what the inventory we're going to need is.
Right.
And so what Kickstarter does is it instantly gives us all that market data.
Right.
We're going to know, this is the ratios and this is how much inventory we should bring. And all of these are pre-sold. So we're up and in business, and then we can afford to keep the business going.
Are you selling these online right now?
Well, again, they're not really made yet. So these are prototypes.
Okay, gotcha.
And what we're looking for on the Kickstarter campaign is to get enough funds. We're going to buy all the tooling. We're going to buy all the batteries. To do this, you can't buy 10 batteries. Yeah. You got to buy tens of thousands of batteries. They're all customized. So you gotta take a leap of faith. This one allows us to take that leap with the public.
Is Shark Tank calling you going, come on, you got to come on this show with this product?
God, I would love, that would be such a fun experience. And I actually did reach out to see if they'd be interested.
Yeah.
And the more we talked about it, it really doesn't make enough sense because, you're going on Shark Tank for an investment, right? Yep. So we're the most successful item in the history of the show. Yep. I'm not sure I need the investment from the sharks.
No, but
right?
you go on there knowing you're going to say no to whatever offers.
Lori Greer's my business partner, and we're really close.
Yeah.
So I would go on the show and then offer it to other sharks, and I would just offer it to her.
Well, offer it to her, but you cut her piece down, way down.
Yeah,
she's such a great.
Because there are a lot of people that do go on Shark Tank knowing they're going to just say no to any deal. Right. That the exposure alone will really help them push their product forward.
Yeah, I mean that's a dangerous game lately because the sharks know that and they try to sniff that out. If they try to see if you've come in there just to use them, and they'll turn the show and actually make you look pretty bad for doing that.
But they're using some of those people too.
It's possible.
Some of the percentages, I'm like, oh my God, give this little guy a break.
I'll tell you what, the show, before I went out there, I was thinking, it's LA, it's all going to be fake, and
Yeah.
The show is as real as it gets. Like, there's only a couple things that aren't exactly as you see. The first is, when you walk down that hallway and the doors open, there's like an X, and you stand on the floor, and you wait for 5 minutes while they focus all the cameras on you. And, like, you're just standing there. The sharks are staring at you, you're sweating, and, like, nothing's going on until finally someone's like, okay, go. But that's not how it looks to you on camera. You see the guy walk down the hallway, he just,
they want you to feel as uncomfortable as possible before you present your product.
Right. And the second part that's, real but not real is that just because you shake hands or, hug, it's not a deal.
Of course.
It's not a deal until the lawyers get involved. And so what happens, after the show is just like you buy a house. They go into the due diligence process. And, a lot of times people get really excited on air and they're like, oh, and I got 2 patents on this. And then the next thing you know, they're like, can I see your patents? And they show them these applications and they're like, well, those are pending patents. You don't have a patent. I'm out.
I've heard stories that a lot of these are a no-go in the end. A lot of them, because there's something that they were like exaggerating or lying about.
Well, the opposite happens too. I mean, people walk out and they call their lawyer, and they're like, "Dude, you just sold 60% of your company. You're an employee now. You don't even own your company if you do this deal." And they're like, "What?" And then the entrepreneurs are out.
Jeez.
So it can go both ways.
There's also a lot of crying on the show.
Yeah, there's a lot of crying. I promised myself I wasn't gonna do
Why
that.
do they cry? Enjoy?
No, I was always like, but my daughter is dying, I need this Fogle,
Right.
Or Mr. Wonderful's like, take your idea out back and shoot it in the head. This is the worst idea I've ever heard.
Yeah. What was a bad idea that they said to do that to?
Oh, there's so many of them. I saw a guy come in and said he could make gold in the ocean by generating a hurricane.
The ocean water.
Spin the ocean water. I saw another guy who wanted to implant your cell phone into your ear surgically. But when the battery ran out, you had to surgically remove it.
That was his fucking idiot.
That's good.
Yeah, there's some classic ones on that show.
Yeah.
The show is incredible. I mean, it's totally life-changing, and it's completely real.
So where do they go for the Kickstarter again? It's Kickstarter.com.
You go to Kickstarter.com.
Yep.
And you look up the Ion belt.
ION, by the way.
ION.
Right.
And it's Ion Techwear. And actually, today at noon, we also air on, if you want to see the belt in action, I am on Rebecca Jarvis Real Biz, which is an ABC show. And we'll be live on TV around noon is when that airs.
And that's the first time people are going to see it?
First time that the public will ever see that live and
cool.
We got a fucking camera here.
Well,
You son
fire
of
it
a
up.
bitch.
Here you go.
What the hell?
There you go.
There it is.
It's a hefty belt. You could charge your phone while you beat your kids.
You want to see it?
We gotta.
It's not that heavy.
Yeah,
We're right. Yeah, that's nice.
That is, that's a nice belt.
What do you guys think of the buckle? Is it?
It's hip.
It's all right, man. Most belts look shitty to begin with. I'm not saying your
Do you
belt.
wear?
I got a belt.
Right.
Yeah, I got a belt. But, it's a nice looking belt for sure.
Simple.
Is it heavy?
No.
It's thick.
That's not.
Well, Aaron Krause, thank you so
buddy.
much.
We got to wrap up just because we got Will Forte waiting.
Thank you.
We're backed up on guests today.
We're really late today, but good luck with the belt and of course the scrub daddy moving forward.
Guys, thanks for
keep
having
sending
me.
us shirts, but
I will.
I'm a size small. Thank you.
I
We
got
like your stuff.
plenty more shirts coming your way.
Thanks, buddy.
All right.
Thanks, Aaron.
Let's take a quick break. We had Will
Wait, do we need
Forte in here. What?
He's right there if you want to just bring him in.
Keep going? Sure.
Yeah.
All right,
I think he's right outside.
All right, we
He has
can
a
go.
hard out.
Yeah, he has to catch a plane.
Nice to meet you.
Aaron, thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
All right,
Awesome.
appreciate it. Right?
Appreciate the opportunity.
Keep sending us product. I think I'm running out of scrub daddies.
Great idea.
What does Roland do? He's telling us if we went to the bathroom, he's got to tell us that.
Yeah, because then we could have taken a quick break.
Wrap real quick because I don't see Roland. He's
Hold on, is this right here?
I don't know. I'll look at my scrub daddies.
What's in the box?
Very soft T-shirts for his new product, the belt.
here he comes.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
The Ion Techwear, it's called. Yes, very soft. I like it.
Okay.
Here he is.
Hey, it's Will.
What's up, Will?
Forte.
How you doing?
Welcome to the show, buddy.
Oh, thank you.
We're distracted by our scrub daddy stuff, but I'll put this aside. The number one product on Shark Tank, sir.
Can you hear?
Nope. Oh boy.
Turn it up, Justin.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you. He turned it the wrong way.
Stingle.
I did my best.
You guys know each other from Letterman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were a writer on there for a little bit.
A teeny little bit.
How long?
These guys came in right before me, and I would have known nothing if not for he and his brother. Like, they showed me the ropes.
What's up, Will?
Oh,
how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good.
Do your show. Very nice young men.
You said it was a kind of an unpleasant experience too. You said you might not be ready at that time.
I was just not prepared. I don't think I feel like if I had a couple more years of experience, I might have been better there. I didn't do a very good job. It was an honor to be working there, but I kind of melted down a little bit. Could you tell I melted down?
No, I don't think you melted down. And all the girls liked Will.
Oh, yeah, he did very well there.
He did very well there.
Oh, really? He put up some numbers there at Letterman?
Yeah.
How about, do you ever cross interns with Dave?
How long did he last there?
9 months.
That was it.
Wow.
Months, yeah.
You got one girl pregnant and got out.
Yeah, that was it.
Boom, I got to go.
Were there certain girls, though, that you're like, I think someone might have their eye on her. I'm going to just steer away from that? Were there certain ones that you would steer away from knowing?
Wait, what do you mean? Like, just in general?
Well, like if you suspected that perhaps, like if Dave might have been friendly with an intern, was that kind of known by the staff?
God, I barely ever ran into Dave because we're up on the 14th floor, just like cranking out stuff.
Material.
I would just I was back then. That actually let my smoking habit really take root, and I was just like shut the door, open the window, and just smoke like a nervous fiend. So I never knew what was going on anywhere.
You guys lose your minds, you writers.
Very stressful.
I've heard a lot of stories over the years where people are pretty much having nervous breakdowns.
It was tough. It was tough.
Did you ever actually meet Dave?
Oh yeah. That but not often, because like I was on the the very bottom level, so it was usually like department heads that would you'd get the stuff, and people like Rodney would go down and do mailbag stuff, and you guys would go down meet with them. So I would see him a little bit, but he's one of my all-time heroes. He's definitely one of my biggest influences. So the coolest thing was getting to come back and be a guest on the show. And I just, as being such a huge fan, you always wonder like, oh, am I going to be one of those people that he likes or somebody who he doesn't? And he totally treated me like a member of the family, and that was the coolest feeling.
Was it uncomfortable when you came back as a guest and he said, "Nice to meet you"? And you're like, oh no.
That's me right there. That's me right there.
That's pretty.
Look at that.
Without the beard, obviously.
Yeah,
very
beard.
cool. Yeah. Where'd you go after Letterman?
I went to a show called The Army Show. Okay. On the WB.
Right.
That didn't. That only went, I think, 13 episodes. And then I went to a show called Action for Fox.
Our pal Jay Moore.
I auditioned for that and did not do well. No, it was a very tough audition.
Which role?
I do not even remember. The guy, I don't even think I knew it was Jay's at the time, because the guy doing the part of Jay was so good. The guy in the read, I don't even remember who I read for.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't for Jay's part.
What's your thoughts on Jay?
Oh, he was great.
Yeah.
I didn't. That was another thing. I was kind of low level writer there, and so I would just be up writing while they'd be shooting this stuff. So he was great. I mean, I thought that show was so great, but it was we got kind of moved around all over the place because the World Series was coming out. So it was, we'd be on at 9 and then 9:30 and then 8:30 and. Yeah.
Was that the one that Otto and George did something with Buddy Hackett in? Yeah. That was on Action, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
That
was
Buddy Hackett.
Otto loved that because he got to do a scene with Buddy. They were locked up in jail for something together.
I forget what it was. My memory's so bad. I got a bad memory.
Would you write a lot of
there was not much.
Would you write a lot of stuff that got rejected? Because you said it was hard. Like when you were writing for Jay or for Letterman, would you write stuff that just didn't make it, or would they go like, this is not good?
They're two totally different things. Like for Letterman, I wrote just a ton of stuff that got rejected. But for Action, like you'd have each writer would be assigned scripts, and I felt like that was more my speed, getting a little. By then, I had also had a couple of jobs, so I was more comfortable, and as I said, like after that, if I had maybe started at Letterman after that job, maybe it would have been a slightly different thing. At least mentally, I would have been more prepared for it.
Do you remember the first thing you got on Letterman? Like the first thing that he actually liked?
I do. There was it was on the mail, viewer mail, and it was them making a big deal out of dropping a watermelon out the window, but then it turned out you revealed that it's just like they're on the first floor. I think you might have had to shepherd that.
I think so, yeah.
Very cool. And the first time SNL came a call and you kind of declined their offer, I find that fascinating. I would assume everyone would just jump on it.
Yeah.
Jump on it.
By then, I had done, what did I do? I went to Third Rock from the Sun from Action, and then 70s Show, and like I had finally gotten to a place where a show was lasting more than 13 episodes, and that show was just really fun to write on. I liked the show, and then I got this chance to go to SNL, and I thought, am I going to throw away this awesome writing job over this? What I was thinking it might be just like the Letterman experience, which was terrifying. So I turned it down just because I was
and financially too, right?
Yeah, I mean, you make good money as a writer, so it was just
I just assumed, but we know a lot of people that did the SNL thing that you get called to do SNL and you got financial freedom,
right?
And it's just not the case.
Yeah, it's certainly nothing to sneeze at.
Sure,
but it is at the level I had reached as a writer. It was not comparable. So it was, and I had just bought a house. But I just realized, thank God, after a year, they came back and asked if I would reconsider, and I had just realized like I could not live life without trying it, because I just realized I was making a fear-based decision and I needed to go for it.
How did they know you? Because if you weren't actively auditioning for it, what made them say, like, we really want Will on the show?
Well, I was, every once in a while when we would have our breaks at sitcoms, I would go to the Groundlings. I was part of the Groundlings, so I was doing one of the shows, and he ended up, Lauren came to one of the shows.
Who were you in the Groundlings with? Who were some of your other people?
It was Maya Rudolph and Cheryl Hines.
Wow.
I mean, I was right as Chris Parnell was going to SNL, and then Wig was right after me. Who else was in there? Oscar Nunez, Jim Rash, and Nat Faxon. Those guys. Just, a ton of people. Everyone from our class, and did really well. So it's really fun to see all these people doing so well.
What makes lousy improv to you? Because it's hard to, because real improv is fucking masterful to watch.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess, stand-up or anything else, and bad improv is almost impossible to watch.
Have you seen those guys, TJ and Dave?
I have not.
Oh my God, these guys, they just do two-man improv, which to me sounds like the most miserable thing in the world. Like, I had to be dragged to their show, and it was so good. They're there. Yeah, TJ Jagodowski and Dave Pasquesi. It's just amazing to watch these guys. They're so locked in with each other. I haven't seen them in a while, but it's really, but the
that guy's
the
on
bad
everything.
improv,
Sonic commercial.
The Sonic,
yes.
They're amazing, but like bad improv, I think it's just people who are trying too hard to be funny, and these guys they are able to be funny, but also totally listen to each other. It's just not listening to people and trying to be funny.
Are you comfortable in an improv if you're not funny for a couple of lines? Like, because it does seem like, okay, if every line is not a joke, we're bombing and the crowd hates it. But so if you're doing an improv, are you okay just giving a straight line or bouncing something back?
I have to be comfortable not being funny, because often in improvs I'm not funny. So if it's really it's a really miserable experience. It's tough because I think slower than other people, so if it's a 3-person scene, I just sit up there and I don't say anything.
Oh, no.
It's a bummer.
That's what I do here.
Mark's very hungover today.
Sorry, yeah. But
What
had a long
happened?
night.
What was last night?
big show, big celebration.
Oh,
we
nice.
went a little hard.
His big event.
Yeah.
that did very well. But he's
What were you drinking? What was?
Whiskey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you.
With beers in the middle and then tequila.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's for the young.
Yeah, good times.
Good for you.
But then we did the diner and had beers there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
You're gonna
kept
make
going.
it.
Yeah, I'll be
You'll
all
fine.
right. I'll be all right.
And at first, you weren't hitting on SNL. The first couple of years were a little strange, right?
Oh well, I mean, it's God, it's tough. I don't think that I would ever say that I was a SNL success. I had like my things. Never mind that. I was not like I had things that I think some people liked, pockets of people liked, but I was I don't think that I was ever like the certainly wasn't like Kristen Wiig, all these. There were all these people who had such massive levels of fans and stuff, like Sandberg with all the shorts, and he was such a great sketch guy too. But I think that I was kind of just there.
Well, no, because then it kicked in, and you were very successul with it. But
I'm really proud of the stuff I did there. But it was certainly I was not somebody that I remember coming back at some point to do a sketch, and it was just, you could just, usually when people who used to be there come back, they get like massive amounts of applause, and it was just like tepid response.
Okay. You had a fine run. I guess what I was referring to, the first few years, you weren't sure if they were going to get rid of you. And then it kicked in, and then you've obviously had a very good run at SNL.
Oh no, I loved it there, and I'm not trying to say it in any way that I liked doing weirder stuff, and so a lot of times my stuff would kind of come later in the show. And after the first couple of years, after the third year, I think it was, I almost wasn't asked back. So,
how many years did you end up doing?
8 years.
8 years. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was reading that when you finally left SNL, you kind of went through sort of a hard time. You're sort of sad about it and stuff that you left.
Oh,
and
yeah.
A little, maybe some depression. I don't know.
Well, it was, it was tough because I loved everybody I worked with, and we had just made MacGruber, and I was so proud of that movie, and then it just tanked hard, and I just thought, I don't know, it's time to see what else is out there, and for a while I had nothing going on. I just was sitting around, and then Adam Sandler gave me a part in the movie I Hate You, Dad. Well, it used to be called I Hate You, Dad, and then it was oh my God.
Right.
Donnie's Boy? Did that? I can't believe that it's very early.
Brother Solomon?
No, it was.
I think it's Donnie's Boy.
Holy crap! I don't know.
But that's how you know you have a good career, when you don't remember what Adam Sandler.
Yeah, no
did.
kidding.
Yeah. That's a good.
That's my boy.
That's my boy.
That's
oh my
my-
God!
oh,
No,
yeah,
oh my God!
That's my boy.
I'm so. Adam, I apologize. I mind farted.
That's
a
my
brain
boy.
fart. That's my boy.
Do you remember?
No, but it used to be called I Hate You, Dad, and then I think they were going to call it Donnie's Boy, and then God, now I feel bad.
No,
but I'm so thankful to Sandler was always one of my heroes. So he's so loyal to people, and so he's always lending a hand to SNL people and giving them parts in his stuff, and that was a big deal that he did that.
Yeah,
sure. Do you remember a sketch? I'm always fast. SNL is such a tough environment.
Yeah.
Can you remember the sketch you maybe read through, or that you had that bombed the worst in the read through?
Oh my God! There, definitely there's one called Fart Face that Bill Hader and I did, and I think he talked about this on Letterman once, and it was it bombed so hard, but somehow, actually, I think it did all right at the read through, but then it bombed in the dress rehearsal, and just like not a peep, and somehow it made it onto the air. And this was one time I was usually you're going like, oh, Lauren should give this thing a chance, whatever. And this was one time I'm like, oh, let this thing die. And somehow he gave it a chance. I mean, I loved the sketch, but nobody else did. Not the only people. It was me and Bill Hader and Josh Brolin, and it happened to be, I think it was the same show that Sarah Palin actually stopped by. It was when tons of people were watching because Tina was doing her Sarah Palin, and so there were perhaps more people watching than ever before with the show that I was part of. And, to lay such a big bomb was, felt good.
I'm amazed with these guys, how they stay in, like, especially someone who can improv. It's like you never see them break the wall. They don't go off and just start acknowledging the sketches fucking tank. I'm amazed how you guys stay in that moment and don't blow it.
And the whole room enjoys a good bombing.
Yeah.
Oh boy, they love it.
It was an intense form of bomb. I mean, it was complete silence. It might have been more silent, but I got to thank Lauren for having faith and putting it in there. And then somehow I read New York Magazine did their top 10 sketches of the year for that year, and Fart Face was somehow on that list.
Well, there you go.
So crazy.
Is it horrible when you're bombing in a sketch and the other guy's killing? There's got to be those moments where, like, everything they're saying is getting a big laugh, and everything you're saying, the crowd's just like, ugh, let the other guy talk.
Oh yeah, no. That's another. I don't know. I never worry that much about it because I just focus on. I just want to make sure that I'm getting my lines out. But certainly there have been those times where you can tell that the audience just isn't on your side.
Awful.
Yeah, it's got to feel good to be asked to do SNL though, instead of auditioning.
Oh, but I had to audition for sure. It was,
I see.
I went through the whole process. No, but it was, I went after Lauren came to the Groundlings. I went auditioned and then said no, and then after a year he came back to ask, and I still had to go and re-audition. But he was. I think he could tell that I was just nervous about it. I mean, it was just I was just being a puss.
Well, congrats on Last Man on Earth.
Thanks.
But I got to ask you about the beard. When did you get sick of the beard? Because you obviously now have to keep it because the show is so successful.
It's not that bad.
That is a huge. How many years for that?
Yeah.
It takes about 5 months to get here.
Yeah.
They've been trimming this part, so it's been about 8 months.
Yes, how many months of making bombs in a cabin somewhere? This Ted Kaczynski fucking.
I went on the Tonight Show last night, and they did a thing where they tested my beard about a month ago for bacteria. They had a person from UCLA,
that's funny.
And they found there were 5 things. I forget all of them. One was yeast. I was positive for yeast. I was positive
feces.
That was the 5th one. That was the big deal. That was the only one I cared about.
It's everywhere.
And that was the only one I didn't have in my beard.
Oh, okay.
So it was a major celebration.
Do you remember what else there was? Yeast.
Staphylococcus?
Sure, that's on everything.
What's that?
Which you said was in garbage cans.
It's on everything.
Oh, wow.
So something that was on, in old tennis shoes.
Damn.
It did not make my beard. Oh, there it is. It did not make my beard sing.
It doesn't make your girlfriend sound good either.
I've had all these things in my teeth.
Will it ever get to a point where you go, look, I'm shaving the beard. I don't care how successful this show is, and we'll do makeup.
Well, I mean, it's this is I'm one of the people who writes it too. So I'm in on.
Up to you.
So it's but we have a plan.
So you're gonna write in a nice shaving scenes and make it make sense.
I don't give spoilers, but this beard will have its day in court.
All right.
We'll see.
All right, because it's got to be itchy
or it won't.
Is this the first time you ever had one?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I usually don't. I'm not a big shaver, but I would never let it get to this. Yeah.
I imagine there's some chicks who are into it, like beard fetish girls.
I mean, it's the big hipster craze right now. So it's hipsters are pretty handsome people. So
they're trying
shopping it.
A lot of times hipsters try to like pour themselves up or ugly themselves up because they feel guilty about being so fucking handsome and privileged. So they try to make themselves look worse. Like, hey, I'm poor too.
Yeah, they all look like John Wilkes Booth.
Have you guys had beards?
No.
I've done
just every girl I've dated.
I've done it a couple times, and what I want to mention is the smell. Every once in a while, the smell will get to you because of the, I guess, food and everything, and you think you're keeping it nice and clean, but every once in a while you get a whiff, and you're like, oh my god,
yeah.
I gotta get an extra shower today.
Yeah. It's I keep it pretty clean. That was the surprising thing about the bacteria test is like I get in there. I don't just run water. I'm soaping it and scrubbing it every day, and just like it's hard to. There's so much area. I don't think it dries out in the way that it should. So
we have the list of what's in his beard.
Oh, do you?
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
We have Pseudomonas, a bacteria most commonly found in soil and dirty sneakers.
Wow.
Serratia marcescens.
A bacteria found in dirty showers.
Staphylococcus.
Yeah.
Most commonly found in trash cans, and yeast.
That's not too bad.
Not bad.
No, it's not that bad.
We probably all have a little bit of that.
Sure.
Absolutely.
It was just no shit in the beard.
No feces.
No feces. But I guess you can get that. It's like it's on those things in diners when you reach in to scoop out mints. There's feces on everything. Touch a doorknob and then itch your face.
Subway.
Pay a girl to do it.
Phone, keyboard.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the worst, right?
Yeah.
That?
Oh, I don't even want to swipe I'm terrified to swipe my cell phone with a fucking swab.
That probably has more feces on it than an actual piece of feces.
He's pointing at my dick.
Let the record show.
Yeah, they say like when you go to the Apple store, you touch all the iPod. I won't touch the iPads or whatever, but they're like, because there's so many people coming in and
their sweaty, greasy hands.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And they don't wash those every 2 minutes.
That was what I was, people always want to touch the beard. So I was thinking like,
ew.
I'm going to get like, they're probably putting their feces on my beard and I'm going to get, the wrap for it. So I was excited there was none in there.
It's like a horrible Kit Kat commercial.
I'm a big hand washer too,
Are you OCD about it?
No. I am OCD, but not about the hand washing.
What are you OCD about?
I like when I leave the house, checking stoves, which I've never used. I've the last time I.
But you're still checking them.
Check them
all
all religiously.
Love it.
Checking the showers. That's I do use the showers, but I just want to make sure the water's off and the stove is off.
Wow.
When did you start that?
I don't know. Probably for about 20 years. I'm sure there was like a stuff that were. I read a book about it. And I think there's like you have it in you, and it just something triggers it. And I think my trigger happened sometime in the early 20s. I don't know what it was. Stress of getting out of college, or I don't know.
I was going to go with Letterman.
I was going to go with Letterman.
Yeah, no, it was before that. It was before I went over there.
I've heard some of those stories over there.
I've heard he's terrifying.
A lot of people left and had post-traumatic stress.
Can you tell that story about the writer that you told me the other day?
There was one.
I don't know if
there was one writer who became the head writer before you got there, and I'm trying to figure out.
Don't sugarcoat it.
No, he had been a staff member, and then he was elevated to head writer, and
he
there's a lot of pressure.
He didn't want to be head writer.
He lost his mind.
He was French Canadian, and at times, if we were having a conversation, I would say, "How was your weekend?" And you would say, "Fine, I saw a movie." He would write down the conversations he heard, and one side of the conversation would be in English, and the other one would be in French. And then he would also write on the walls. And I think a few times he sort of missed the toilet in the men's room.
Shitting or pissing?
Pissing.
Oh, it happens.
Yeah.
No, he's being polite about it. He's cleaning up the story.
He
did it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's probably being antisocial. He's being an antisocial boy.
He was making sure his pee was on the floor, and then he gained a lot of weight. Lost
He gained
his
a
hair.
lot of weight, lost his hair.
And what was he chewing on? You told me.
See the booker for our show?
It was
like the tab from a soda can.
Yeah, the tab from the top of a soda can.
But the reason I have you tell the story, then fast forward, he gets out of that environment, and he did very well and had a big, huge comeback.
Yeah,
He was like 2 months later, he looked great. He had a full head of hair.
He was working.
His hair grew back. He lost the weight.
Very popular
Stopped peeing
show.
on the floor. And an extremely popular show.
I know who you're talking
You know who I'm talking about.
Do you really?
Yep. I do.
There's unless you lived it, you just don't know how crazy it was over there.
It's a very, very stressful job. But we'll go back again and say, freaking can't believe I got to work there. It was very exciting, right?
Yeah.
Right? It was just like, this is my freaking hero, and to get to have a chance to be a part of that was pretty cool.
And then when, Will was a writer, and so he was there with all of us in the writer's room and doing all this stuff. And then all of a sudden he's on Saturday Night Live and he's doing all this stuff, and we're all kind of felt like, wow, one of our own actually got out of this. I mean, it felt like prison because you were there crazy hours, and he's so successful, and then it just made me depressed. It just made me depressed.
You guys worked like 16 hours a day.
We worked very late back then.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And like we get out at 1 o'clock in the morning, and
had to be back the next day at what, like 9? Crazy.
Wow.
And you list Peter Sellers as one of your idols. He's one of my favorite people. What's your favorite Peter Sellers role?
I mean, probably Dr. Strangelove is probably my favorite scene of any movie is that scene where he's calling what is it, Dimitri? God, I see horrible memory. This is my favorite scene where he's calling the Russian President Dimitri and saying that the bombs are heading over. Well, I'm just as sorry as you are, Dimitri. That one. It's just amazing. But him watching him in the party, that's such a great movie. He's there. It is.
What did you think of the at the end of Being There when they showed? Who was it? Hal Ashby directed when they showed the outtakes.
The outtakes. Yeah.
I heard he went fucking crazy and hated that they did that.
I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, I love outtakes and seeing them, but like when they're attached to the movie, unless it's like something like Cannonball Run,
or comedy,
or all the Burt Reynolds. But I can understand why he would be upset with showing outtakes.
I think he said to Hal Ashby, I think Anno told me that, he said, you just cost me an Oscar. Like, he knew he was so good in that. I don't know if he would have won I think it was 1980. I don't know if he would have beaten De Niro in fucking Raging Bull.
Right.
That was just...
Oh, that was the same year? That was the Raging Bull
I want to say it was 1980, if we can check that. Now that you've asked me, I'm probably going to be humiliated.
No, but that
wrong.
sounds right. That sounds...
or was it 81 with
Being There? 79.
But what year was the Oscar? Who won the Oscar? Was that that's Kramer versus Kramer? Oh, whatever. Who gives a fuck?
It's all around the same time, to be honest with you.
I know, but I'm acting like I'm in a trivia contest in a bar. Who gives a shit? Unimportant.
I like it. I want the answer.
You know my favorite Peter.
This is the OCD of me.
Best Picture, The Deer Hunter.
That's 79.
Oh God, guys!
All right, let's go to 80. Let's try 1980.
It's Ordinary People and Raging Bull.
Yep.
Fucking De Niro.
Let's see. Yeah, Kramer versus Kramer.
Yeah,
Best Picture.
Best Picture. Who was Best Actor? It was
Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, it was Dustin Hoffman.
But Peter Sellers was there's his nomination.
My favorite Peter Sellers moment is just because his slapstick was the fucking parallel bars.
Yes.
When he goes over the parallel bars and falls down the steps. I think that's the fucking greatest comedy moment ever filmed.
Yep.
Wait, is that in Pink Panther?
One of the Pink Panthers. I'm a master of the parallel bars, and this idiot leaps over. And it's so perfectly concealed. That was as much of a director thing as Peter Sellers. But just the way he fucking goes off, and you don't see it coming, it makes me happy.
He is just amazing.
He really was great.
Steve Martin is the other one. He's just like, and it was so on Fallon last night. He was playing the banjo, so I got to see him. I always get so nervous around him because all I want to do is just praise him and tell him how much he means to me, and I'm just trying to play it cool. So I end up just not saying anything. But
I didn't like that he did the Pink Panther, though. I felt that was a disservice to it. But he's done a lot of other great stuff. Look at this.
Oh my God, he's the jerk.
He's the jerk. He's the fucking, and he just falls down into a living room full of old people down 2 flights of steps. It's the fucking greatest thing ever shot. And the master of he's touching the parallel bars like a man who is so experienced on them. Just an old friend. It's so great. So fucking idiots.
This idiot.
There's a very bizarre episode of The Muppet Show that Peter Sellers hosted, which I only saw recently. It's on DVD, and I guarantee it gave kids nightmares. Like, Peter Sellers is doing weird Peter Sellers stuff, but he clearly has a vision for something that will work for the adults and probably scare the hell out of the kids. If you can find it, it's pretty good.
I'm good. Definitely look for that. Or he's falling down the stairs. having tea in the living room.
Wasn't he also the first? What was the first Pink Panther movie, which was like almost more dramatic? Like there was a lot less laughs in it.
Well,
Shot in the Dark.
It was called that.
I think Shot in the Dark was the second one, right?
The first one. What?
There was a big court scene.
Didn't Alan Arkin play?
No, this is Peter Sellers though. This is a Peter Sellers one where he's in court at the end of it. And maybe it was a Shot in the Dark. I don't remember.
Maybe.
I was watching. So David Niven, I want to say, is in it, or did you just say David Niven?
Is this? Wait, are you talking
David Niven
Casino Royale? Maybe, which is the Bond. That because
was Peter Sellers in that?
Peter Sellers was in that, and David Niven, I think, was James Bond.
Actually, Woody Allen was James Bond in that. A bunch of people played Bond in that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that was it. Okay, maybe I thought it was a Pink.
I've actually never seen that movie.
I
did this dumb dance on SNL with Peyton Manning, and that was we used the music from that. So that's how I. But that's like the first Bond movie, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
It didn't. No wonder it wasn't that funny.
Oh wait,
Right.
so he was Clouseau in that? Oh, geez, wait a second. Oh, maybe
Clouseau.
Oh, that's the Pink Panther.
Right, Pink Panther.
Sorry.
That's not the.
Yeah, we're hearing Will's got a flight to catch.
He has a flight.
Yes.
They're telling
that
us
not
we have
true?
to go. We're not saying.
No, I do have a flight to catch.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
I'm going to Mexico.
Oh, you are? Okay, Roland was telling the truth. Are you nervous going to Mexico? Mexico scares me because of all the stuff that's happened down there. Not to freak you out, but...
I am choosing not to hear what you just said.
Okay. What part of Mexico are you going to?
Having a 40th birthday. So San Miguel.
Oh, cool. That's only that. All right, cool. Juarez. All right. No, I'm sure you'll be fine.
You'll be great. You'll have a great time down there.
I'm sure you'll be fine. Famous last word. It was wonderful.
I'm happy we got the last interview with Will Forte.
Yeah.
So,
Last Man on Earth, Sundays at 9:30 on Fox. It returns next Sunday.
Very funny.
The World Series is taking precedent, I guess, right?
How dare them?
But you'll be back next Sunday, a week from this Sunday.
Yes.
It was a pleasure meeting you, Will.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Back and
having me
see
on.
us, all right?
Absolutely.
I think we're done today.
Hang in there.
Mark,
Thanks,
Norman,
buddy.
anything? You good?
Tell Shawl I said hi. Big fan.
Oh, isn't she the best?
I'm in Charlotte next weekend at the Comedy Zone. I got a bunch of gigs on my website in San Francisco, Erie. Just go to jimnorton.com.
I'm at the back booth in Orlando on the 5th, Home Field Comedy Club 6th, 7th, and then Boston Comedy Festival.
Nice.
I'm in San Miguel this weekend. That's it.
All right. We'll see you Monday. Have a good weekend.